Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Snarp Fangle Podcast. I am your host, Jake Metzger, along with my wonderful guests I have here this evening. I have two, and the first here is someone who is a barista for success. Some call her the ultimate Starscream Stan, and her name is Adelaide. Adelaide, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for letting me be here.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Nothing of note? Anything changing in your life?
I'm injured.
Oh, you're injured? Like your knee or your back or both?
It's my sciatica.
Oh,
yeah. So I
don't even know what that is.
Start physical therapy next week.
Oh,
Here's
okay.
your information.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. Did you find the doctor and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked with everybody today. So.
Oh, okay, good. Nice. Oh, that's why you're heading north on the road. I saw you heading that way. I think so. I was hanging out laundry. It's not like I'm a creep.
No, I was mowing,
we live
dude.
next to each other.
I know, and I was mowing. I'm surprised you didn't see me.
Oh, you were mowing? I didn't see the mowing. There's so much trees.
Heading
and
north
stuff.
on a mower. A little mini tractor.
A mini tractor. And that second voice you hear is actually our other guest. Our second guest here is someone who has a long history of pink. Some call her driver of the Magnolias. Introducing Chelsea.
Hi.
How you doing, Chelsea?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah? Anything changing in your life? Any big things of notoriety?
well-
Anything you'd like to mention that you've created recently?
Oh, if you're talking about my last music video.
Yeah, your edit you did.
Yeah, I did a Ninja Turtle edit that I had been working on so the full duration of time was like a year and a half. And the only reason was because I went into slumps. But probably I didn't actually look at how many hours can you do that in Premiere? Can you look how many hours you've worked on something?
I don't remember actually. I've never had to do that.
I bet there's a way to do it.
I would like to.
But yeah,
the
project, it's probably over 24 hours that I've worked on it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, life stuff is I was phone tagging with a bunch of medical insurance people because I no longer qualify for Medi-Cal.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, that thing just expired, so
I have to start paying it. But I'm going to try and do my research first, but I have 1 week to do it.
Well, can't they do a reapplication form or anything?
That was my application. And because based off how much money I made on my full-time job, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because I've been working there for 2 years or 3 years now.
You should text Nicole about that and see what because she works with people about that.
Oh, cool. I'll have to ask her.
Yeah, give her a text. See, like, hey, I'm
trying to figure out what's the best option I need.
Yeah,
because I need to constantly have to get inhalers and allergy medication because I do have life-threatening situations sometimes now that I'm older. I don't know why.
Because you're old now.
Yeah.
That's why.
I guess.
Apparently, the sciatica goes, and then your allergies start kicking in.
Your allergies start.
You're only a few seconds older than her.
Then your eyes go.
Yeah, just you wait. Back in my day,
you wait,
just
Jake.
2 minutes ago. It's coming. Get ready.
Nobody told me the 30s was going to be like this, so.
Nobody.
Welcome to adulthood. I hope you like the ibuprofen.
I've been learning a lot of that through you guys and I think Frankie as well.
What? Being old.
But everyone's bodies are different.
Yeah.
You grew up in a different environment, so.
Well,
yeah, like look at Adelaide. We are twins.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with all of the allergies. She didn't, but she has a lot of health problems getting older now, like with her gut and she has diverticulitis. She contracted that this year.
And so we ate the same mud pies together in the field, so I don't know where
I don't know what parents I got to you.
On the farm.
This is a very interesting podcast.
Yeah, what kind of tapeworms you got?
No, ew. Okay.
Well, it's good to have you guys on here. Thank you for coming on and taking your valuable time off. I appreciate you guys here. And I think we're just gonna get into it. Let me explain real quick what we're doing. Again, this is the Snarp Fangle Podcast. We conversational podcast. We each bring a topic of conversation to the congregation of those listening on YouTube and on the internets, of course. And our topic today is actually from both of you guys, and I'm very intrigued to hear where you guys want to start, where you guys want to go. I wrote down a title, but I wonder if you have a better idea of what it is. But yeah, let's just dive right into it. Adelaide,
Let's dive on in.
Dive on in. You got any Crocs? Oh, did you see? Oh, there was a video. There was a video of oh my gosh, there was a video I saw on Twitter where it's like a little attachment for your Croc, and it's a snow shovel. and it's like a little mini bulldozer shovel for your Crocs. You can like
wait, so you
can like use your feet to scrub the steps for snow.
At first I thought you meant it was like a little picture of a shovel because they have like little icons you can stick in the hole.
Yeah, it was.
That's
what I'm talking about. It sticks in the hole of your Crocs.
But it's an actual shovel.
It actually is a shovel that lets you push the snow away.
Speaking of holes,
we
could segue into the hole of my heart.
What?
Because I don't know where you're going with that. But
I wasn't. I was just mentioning it. This is Snarp Fangle. We can go on the side tangents and all this.
Side tangents. That's what I'm for. Yeah.
But anyway. So it seems like Adelaide, you're really ready to get into it. So I'm just gonna pass it along to you. What's your topic this week?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Why am I a lonely island?
No man is an island, Adelaide, and no woman.
Well, every man is an island.
I sure feel like an island, especially when it comes to the movies I like.
Okay, yeah.
And my opinions on movies.
You don't say.
I actually
tell
had a
me
title.
more.
You're very niche in your likings.
Well, I thought so, and then when I did some research a couple days ago, I guess I'm not as niche as I thought I was. But it just seems like all the vocal opinions I hear, everyone just kind of agrees on it. I actually have a title, and it's Subjectivity in Film. Why am I the odd one out?
Wow.
Okay.
So riveting.
So what makes you all alone in this world of likings and dislikings?
I have a little description for subtext.
Yeah, let's go.
Do you want me to get into that?
Let's do it.
So after graduating with a film minor, I found that I am often the odd one out when it comes to my tastes in movies compared to my coworkers' opinions. In school, differences in taste were generally welcomed for discussion and healthy debate in the classroom. But in both my current retail job right now and my previous job in a newsroom among a bunch of film dudes, I quickly discovered a lot of movies that I genuinely love were considered quote-unquote bad. I've recently discovered reviews for some of my favorites that apparently agree with my coworkers. The purpose of subjectivity is to understand that everyone has different tastes and references. So my question is, what makes the opinion of the majority of people I know superior to mine? Spoiler alert for this discussion, we are not going to find an answer for that.
Oh, I was going to say, like, you're bringing up subjectivity. And I think what a lot of people would look at is, like objectivity as well. Like, is it objectively good? Is it objectively bad? Or are things... As David is sneaking stealthily, should
we mention the definition for subjectivity? If
let's dive
people
into
do
that.
not understand what we're talking about,
I'm confused about.
Let's
the
do
difference.
that. Let's dive into the definitions. Let's establish that first.
So, subjectivity is the quality of something based on or influenced by the personal feelings, taste, or opinions of the person.
Okay.
So, if you watch a movie and let's say Star Wars, millions of people grew up with Star Wars. Subjectively, everyone's like has nostalgia for it, right? Okay. They're like, oh, it's good, and it doesn't matter if it's good or not because they grew up with it. They might have rose-colored glasses on it. Mm-hmm. So, no, talking about subjectivity, but
you
just said nostalgia though.
No, I know, but just as an example,
subjectively, they have nostalgia that makes them like it somewhat more, or gives them fuzzy feelings about it.
Is basically your opinion based on
your feelings,
your biases. So what you were raised with, the environment doesn't mean something to you. Objectivity is an unbiased opinion. So opinion that is unswayed by personal experiences or upbringing. That's often referred to in like a court or like a justice system situation because they have to be unbiased opinions. So that's what objectivity is.
Like so it's like covering the facts.
Like an undeniable fact.
View.
Yeah. There was blood on the knife. You can't say there was no blood on the knife. There was blood actually on the knife.
Yeah. You can't say, I believe there was blood on the knife.
Yeah.
So that's objectivity versus subjectivity. And then we can read the other ones later when we get into it.
Okay. Well, I think, and we're going into film and likings of different film and
specifically,
TV, Specifically, yeah. We're not talking about music here or tastes in music. We're talking about tastes in film.
Your favorite YouTuber?
Or YouTuber or whatever, and just in general, I think,
podcaster
in terms of consuming media. So, I don't know. What do you think of all this, Chelsea? As we subjectivity specifically and nostalgia.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're alone, mostly, or do you feel like you agree with the majority of people who see certain movies?
Depends on the movies, of course.
Yeah.
But I think more often than not, I'm alone when it comes to really popular stuff. Maybe I haven't exactly done a self reflection on that, like movies I like and stuff.
Well, you just said that, and like I'm trying to think.
I can think of a lot of movies that are really obscure that people either don't know about or care to know about because they think it looks bad. But most of the time, if it's like a really, really popular thing, I'm not as overhype about it. Like very few things I am.
What's something you would cry at when you watch the trailer or something?
Cry at like happy crier.
Yeah, happy cry. You're like,
Disappointed cry.
I can think of an example for Adelaide recently. But what about you? Like, what would it take to get a trailer releases and you're like, oh my God, this is so beautiful?
A Darth Maul movie.
Oh, heck yeah. With Ray Park
Which
returning.
does not exist yet.
With Ray Park returning, I'm
When will
guessing.
it exist? In my dreams.
Along with Sam Whitmer voicing it over.
Sam Whitmer, yeah.
Yeah. That'd be dope.
I would cry. So I actually cried at Rebels, was it season 3?
Mm-hmm.
And I was still on the couch with Mom. And it was just her and me. And I think I was sick that day or something. And I didn't have a job yet. It was before I got my job at the theater. And I was watching it and I didn't recognize the voice at first. Spoilers, by the way, for Star Wars Rebels.
Watch out, everybody.
But I looked at her when commercial break came and I said, Mom, if that's who I think it is, I'm going to start crying. And she goes, why? And I was like, because I'm just going to be so, I don't know. And then it was, and the reveal was everything I wanted. And I loved it. So I started crying. I was like, I'm so happy. And Mom's like, don't do that. You don't need to cry while you cry.
You don't need to cry over
grandpa
this
in that
fictional
moment,
character.
Yeah, she's so funny, especially when we have to do with like film and stuff. She's so funny with that. She doesn't understand like fandoms or stuff like that. But
It's funny. I've explained that to her. I was like,
Yeah,
Mom,
yeah, like-
you are a fan. You're a
Yeah.
Dr. Zeus fan
Mhm.
and a Wizard of Oz
She's a
fan.
Trekkie.
she's a Trekkie, yeah.
And a big Disney fan.
That was the first thing I talked
I
about
said,
on this
Mom,
episode.
you buy merch. She buys Loungeflies that she doesn't need.
Yeah, Disney.
Yeah.
Big
And
Mickey
so-
Mouse stand.
Yeah,
Our
and so
mother.
that's what I
Yeah.
told her. I said, Mom, that's a fandom.
Yeah.
And she's like, I still don't get it.
Well,
I was
that's
like, Mom, you buy
because-
merch. You spend money on
Well,
merch.
it's a
you don't
different
need.
era, first off, that
That's
she
what I was
in.
gonna say.
But I think during that era, yeah, there was stuff you grabbed onto. And I think she always inherently was a nerd. And so was Dad in a lot of different aspects.
Well,
We
Grandma was. She got it
mentioned-
from
and Grandma as well. Like
Yeah.
Grandma loved.
Grandma
like,
loved collecting things like she
collecting
does. Yeah.
things. But also as well, like when Star Wars came out, like she and Dad were in the theater when it came out.
Yeah, the very first
You
one.
know,
A lot of people
77,
were.
like when
She
because
tells us the
story.
experience every time we watch
Yeah.
the title. And she tells that same story every time.
She did
However-
tell me one time though that she's like, all these things you guys are into, like the video games, and you talk about the word genre and stuff. She's like, that wasn't around when I was a kid. Everything was just
Yeah.
everything. You just watched what you wanted to watch, and there was no label.
And
She said there's
as-
so many labels now.
And that stuff always existed. It's just she never really, I think, paid attention or wasn't really.
Well-
I don't think it was really mentioned. It was like you're just looking for good media.
I felt like,
Like
you
for
had
example,
to be
the
into
musical
the industry though.
Well,
Right.
to be familiar with all this stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna go see a new Elvis movie, or I'm gonna go watch the new musical that's in theaters. Hey, Happiest Millionaires in theaters.
Right.
let's go
Musicals are
watch
their
it.
own genre.
You know, they're their own
Yeah.
genre. And so she, I'm not saying that she doesn't know what that is. I'm saying that I think with that specifically, I don't think they really had a name for a lot of stuff. And a lot of people didn't really, like people were into Star Wars and, pop culture in general, but it wasn't really like, I think when we started growing up, it was the next step of that. And especially as the information age started going and we were
Yeah.
attaching ourselves to things
And
and finding like identification or something. I don't know.
Merchandising. The 80s really picked up with
Oh
the-
yeah, exactly.
And the 70s with toys, but I feel like the toy boom,
The
the
boom,
explosion of every company had to have a toy, every character had to have a toy to make money, and that was the 80s.
What's the
Look
one
at all the
about
cartoons that came out.
a side tangent? What's the one about sharks in the street?
Street Sharks.
Street Sharks, that was
What's
it.
wrong with you?
I don't know. I just hear about it. Is it Mattel or Hasbro though?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
It doesn't matter.
That was one I didn't watch.
I wanted to really bad, but we weren't allowed.
Yeah, I think Mom is an interesting thing because she grew up with She also showed us all Star Trek, which I think was really cool. That was really
Star
fun.
Trek's cool.
They were
Star
her
Trek
dad-
makes you feel like a smart nerd,
Oh yeah, especially
Yeah,
Next
it's smart.
Generation. Oh dude, Next Generation's so good.
a smart fan.
Even some of the I saw a clip on I saw a clip online as well about there's a clip from the 60s Star Trek, and it was during and it had the guy who played Khan, but he was a different character in the show. And it was they were at a dinner table, and Kirk and him were talking, and they were all talking about how he was admiring Earth's history, and he like subtly mentioned Hitler, but would not saying Hitler.
Yeah.
And Kirk like did a double take, like, what are you talking about? You know, what do you mean that? He's like, oh, like the great leaders of your time. And it was really cool.
You mentioned a bad one.
Yeah, and it was really cool. And like him and
one.
Spock were both like saying, no, that's incorrect. That's not right. It was really cool.
That's
like
interesting.
it had good writing even back then. And then you go to the Next Generation, and it's even, you got the Shakespeare man in there. You know?
Yeah, you got the Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Oh, Patrick Stewart.
But,
of course, you're gonna get Shakespeare in there.
Yeah, and I think from here, in terms of Star Trek and fandoms and everything, is that where kind of you're leading into, Adelaide? Because you're into some fandoms as well.
I am, but that's not what I'm leading into.
Okay, well, what are you leading into?
Because I was actually making a list a couple nights ago about like the lowest rated movies that I just love. Like, and it had to be movies that I love, that I've seen over 20 times.
Yeah.
Like compulsively. Like I will compulsively
It's
watch
like
a movie over and over and over again.
I don't know what I want to watch. I'm just gonna put that in.
Oh, yeah.
That's always your go-to.
Yeah, my go-to. The only one on there was one of the Transformers movies, because that's part of a franchise and it's part of a fandom I'm involved in. Can I tell you really quick, for those who don't know, what a general audience is?
Before we get into that, I think I want to touch on just real quickly. Yes, subjectivity versus like what is objectively good or bad. We've always, like in the modern day and the information age we're in, it's so easy to Google terms and what things mean. But I would like to just mention that I don't think there's ever been a free, open conversation about subjectivity and why things should be objective versus not, you know, that kind of thing. But because people say, oh, well, like for example, like you can go watch The Batman, right? Or go watch
the first one.
The cinematography in that. And Greg Fraser, who's an amazing cinematographer, who did the cinematography in that, Blade Runner 2049.
It's good.
Dune. I think objectively, you can say that's really good.
Yeah,
and if you know what you're doing,
technicalities.
that's really, especially people who are in that trade, it's objectively good. But I think what we're kind of diving into is a different like tastes, but also
taste.
I just want to let everybody know here and who's listening, I don't think there's ever been an open conversation about this topic. It's like, well, that's just your opinion. That's what it always boils down to.
It seems to be
However,
the thing
I would
online.
love to just freely talk about that and why opinions matter or don't matter, and why
Subjectively, three people who grew up in the same family watching the same things growing up.
Exactly, yeah.
But
so
we have very different opinions ourselves on.
And I think that leads us into the general audience thing as well.
Can just kind of as a side tangent, just note, disagree with you about the topic of subjectivity versus like, are you talking about like a general
I'm talking about
idea?
like if I'm watching a movie review and they're going to like, they're saying, oh, I had great cinematography and great this and great that.
So from
or
a
it
critic's
had
point of view,
terrible this or terrible that. Or I
Right.
go and listen to just some random podcast I'm listening to, and they're like, oh, they'll say, what's that? I don't want to give a niche. I don't want to give a niche example. I'll just give it anyway. There's a game that came out called Banishers of New Eden, or Ghost Banishers of New Eden. It's the guy from the people that made Life is Strange, and who made another game called Vampire. They're like story-based games that are kind of like the Telltale games, if you're familiar with those games.
Right.
So they came out with a new game, and it's very strong in the story department from what I'm getting, from what I'm hearing. And a big reviewer I follow was like, kind of like saying, it's not much, it's not that special, it's not that great. There's better things you can do with your time. But then I was like, somebody I admire I was listening to, and they were saying like, I'm having so much fun with this game. I'm having such a good time. Like there's so much more to it than just saying it's good or bad. There's still enjoyment that can be pulled out of that, is basically where I'm getting.
Yeah.
that actually leads into
And how to know
my
your
next
own
definition,
tastes
Jake.
as well. Okay. I'll go for it. I'm going to let it.
So, for people who aren't in like the viewing movies from an analytical point of view or from a critic's point of view, it's funny. Chelsea brought up the what people say. Everyone's a critic. Like as soon as it's popular, everyone's a critic.
I like Star Wars before it was cool.
Right.
It was always cool.
And those tend to be people who are like, oh, I'm on the, even though I don't work in Hollywood, I know.
I like Clone Wars before before it was the Ahsoka series.
Well, not purists, but
No, I get you. I see.
just
No,
like
but yeah.
from a critical point of
People
view.
who think they know better than people who made it.
People who are not viewing movies from a critical point of view. I have a friend who my whole life always told me that's not why I watch movies. This is the way we watch movies. She says, I just watch movies to be entertained. And she would be part of something called the general audience. I couldn't find
the dumb people.
I couldn't find anywhere online.
No, I'm joking.
I couldn't find anywhere online, like Urban Dictionary or anything, that this was an actual definition. I had to go to like Quora.com and like Reddit for people to explain what the general audience is versus critics. So this is what I got. In film criticism, the general audience is referring to the majority of people who view the film for entertainment versus the critic who views the film with an analytical perspective and bases the film's value on categories such as directing, acting, cinematography.
Okay.
So in a sense, critics are kind of looking at a film,
How it's made.
how it's made from a somewhat objective point of view, but that's also can be subjective because not every critic is the same. They don't go to a critic handbook and say, oh, because the so-and-so didn't direct the movie this way, it's a bad film.
Right. There are technical there are classes taught about what film technicalities are, like what is good editing,
But
what
not
is this.
every film teacher is the same either.
That's right. Yeah.
So there's that.
I've had a
versus-
couple and each of them had their different opinions
opinion.
on what good like editing was,
Right.
or who a good director was.
Yeah. So not every critic is the same.
Yeah.
They are also coming from a subjective point of view, whether they say they are or not. Because not every critic, we're all different. We all, have different tastes in things.
Well, I think the use of the term objective, like this is objectively good, is like kind of like a word that's used, I think, too often in critiquing. Because like I think when they say that, it's like generally people are going to agree when they see this that yes, this is objectively good, or
Right.
the cinematography, for example, is going to be objectively good. or
Hence the
bad.
term general audience.
Yeah.
It's referring
Yeah,
to a majority
generally.
of the people. Not everyone's
Yeah.
going to see it that way, which is so funny. You mentioned the Batman,
Yeah.
the friend I was talking about.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I have the exact same friends that have that same opinion. Go
She
for
said,
it.
I brought it up because I'm like, you want to watch this movie? She said, no. And I said, why not? It's a great movie. And she said, I didn't like that movie. And I'm like, why not? She's like, it was too slow and boring. And that's all she said about it because she
Yep.
was not looking at it from the point of view that
Yeah.
we would.
It's
So
funny
I'm
because
like,
we went to see it and we were blown away.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, even though it's long.
Yeah,
But
it's long. Yeah.
that comes
And
with,
that's something you could say about that
when
movie.
you look at the
It is
runtime of a
long.
movie before you go to see it, expect it's going to be long. Right.
yeah. However,
if
I've
they think
come-
that's boring, they should watch Blade Runner 2049.
Well, I've
The
come
first
to
and
like,
second one.
I'm at a point in my life where like after going to school for film and then like having a job related to media and stuff, there's just sometimes you just gotta like swallow your words and just not say anything in order to enjoy life because otherwise you're gonna be stewing about it like, I can't believe they're not my friend anymore. Because I didn't like that movie. And I used to be
Yeah.
so offended when she would say stuff like that growing up with her because I'm like, how could you say that? How could you say this is the best movie ever? And they're like, well, I didn't like it. And we were kids, but like,
Revenge of the Fallen's amazing.
younger than that, but we were younger than that age. But
Happy Feet's great. You just don't get it.
How dare you say Barney is not your father?
Yeah.
I've actually gotten to that argument before at
I
my current
too.
job. So,
Mine was Ronald McDonald though.
oh, mine was Brian.
You got all them young kids. You got to tell them, you never watched Barney? Well, guess what? Daniel Kaluuya's coming.
No, you can't introduce a generation to Barney and say love it who have been raised on like
Cocomelon.
Cocomelon.
Oh my
and
God.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
That got through my car radio the other day.
Oh, no.
See?
It was so funny. I was like, is this
Subjectivity.
Cocomelon?
The Barney? Oh, the Coco.
Oh, because I was on like a station, and if I go through town, it'll like blur out if I go near garages, and then like it'll pick up other people's Bluetooth stuff. So I picked up like anime music before and stuff, and I was happy
right.
about. But then like I'll pick up like heavy rap.
Those are
that-
garages I want to hang out at.
Well, no, I'll just be driving through town. I won't know who has it. And I was at the stoplight, ready to turn into work, and I hear like it's like row, row, row your boat, but it's like let's share our toys.
Oh,
and I was
jeez.
like, is this Cocomelon? I was like, what is
stupid.
that?
So dumb.
I was looking
Also,
around. Who's doing that? Who's doing
How
that?
did you pick that up on a radio?
It must have
The
been in
signal
someone's car. It
and
must
all
have been
that.
next to the car.
Oh, like a Bluetooth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm
Because
like,
they'll have their phone hooked up.
that's
to
a
Bluetooth.
Netflix thing or that's a YouTube thing. How would that be
would
picked up on a
YouTube that
radio?
they would hook
Oh,
up
it's
to.
like, it's on like syndication. Like that's how popular it's gotten.
Yeah, it's so big. Ed.
Yeah.
It's on everything.
Okay.
Well, also XM radio.
Everyone's different. Everyone has their opinion.
It was just funny. I was like, what the heck?
Well, and I know I mentioned anime. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, and different art styles. But
that's an episode for another time.
that's another. Oh man, it's gonna be good. That's gonna be fun. I can't wait to do that one with you guys. I'm not even a weeb. But
no, but you really
I'm weeb
like
adjacent,
You really
okay?
like being the viewer of fans. Like you like watching the fans.
well, I find lots of joy in seeing people's like opinions of like this landscape and trying to do and gain research from people who know the
It's
landscape.
such its own version of media. Like it, Hollywood has.
Let's get into it.
theirs
We'll get into it
and-
later.
Yeah,
Let's stay
I'm just
focused
saying
on.
how.
No, I get
Yeah,
you. I get
yeah.
you. But yeah, Cocomelon sucks.
Stay on
Don't
target.
watch it, kids.
Anyway,
I'm not
stay
letting
on
my kids
target.
watch. Stay on target.
So we were coming off of the definition of general audience, and we explained what that was for people who aren't familiar with like critical terms and stuff like that. What I thought was weird is what prompted me to get this idea in the first place was I was listening to another podcast from actual people who work in the film industry, script writers, people behind the camera. They have a podcast on Nebula, and they were breaking down Prometheus. 2012 Ridley Scott Prometheus, supposedly a prequel to
Trying
Alien.
really hard not to make fun of you right now because you said Nebula.
Why?
Just because it's kind of.
Because you're not on it?
No, I just find it's funny. I just find no. I'm not gonna say it.
Okay, don't
You're
say
good.
it.
You're
Don't
good.
say
You're good. You're good.
anything.
I love you.
But that's what gave me the idea.
Yeah, hipsters.
Because these
Go for
people
it,
were
go.
tearing apart Prometheus, and I never stopped to think what critics thought of that movie, because I've seen that movie. It's one of the top movies I've seen over 25 times.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love that movie, and I love those one that comes after it, Alien Covenant.
Oh, yeah.
And the way they were picking apart when they started in on it, I did not know that's what the podcast was about, and I got mad for the first time in a long time. I was like, okay, what do these people have to say about this movie I love? By the end of the hour of them explaining it, because they're script writers and they were complaining about the writing mainly and like the casting on some of the characters and stuff, and I'm just like, okay, I never thought of it that way before, but I just love this movie just for other reasons. I guess that would be 100% bias. Not because I grew up with Alien, because I didn't. I came into that way late. There was just something about that movie, and I can go on about that. And so, like, after hearing their podcast, I was like, I can understand that, but I did not know that's how people felt about it. So I looked up the ratings and, like, Rotten Tomatoes. Note, I hate Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, you're not alone.
I do
Okay.
too.
A lot
I
of people out there do.
I only go there just to kind of get the idea of what other people think of a movie. I am not influenced by it because
Yeah.
I disagree with a lot
It's
of
supposed to
the
give you an
critics.
idea of how people view it.
Right.
It's not like
Yeah.
this is biblical,
Right.
not
A
supposed to
lot
be
of
like
people
that.
see it as that though. Like they only
No,
go
I-
see a movie if it says fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I get that.
Which is, well, those people might.
But I would
Those
argue,
people are the general audience.
No, I was going to say more. Those are people who are like, well, they could be.
Well, I would say like maybe they discover and they're like, oh, this is generally what people like or dislike. But also everybody's taste is different. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't think everybody's going to see it as biblical. There definitely are people like that. But there's also a lot of people out there that have kind of like grown to know, especially the like behavior of that platform and how it's
Right.
run,
Yeah.
why it's not as good as everybody, why everybody loves it.
Right. It was just interesting. So the IMDb score for Prometheus is actually 7 out of 10, which isn't bad.
That's not bad.
That's
That's
not bad.
considered-
That's a high average.
That's
That's a
kind of
high
like I
average.
haven't seen it in a long time.
Seven's
That's
a high average.
And I don't like the rating thing. I guess that's what I would give it. I liked Prometheus.
However, 6 means you're a bad movie.
I know that's the thing too, and that's
So
something I would
weird.
love to get into
Yeah.
later. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
And
Rotten
then
Tomatoes.
Prometheus, actually on Rotten Tomatoes, it was 73% fresh from critics. And it had a
really?
68% positive audience score.
Like recently.
Yeah, the latest one I looked at 2
Okay.
days ago.
Alien Covenant or Prometheus?
Prometheus.
Oh, okay.
You know what's funny about that
What's so
is
funny
Alien
about that?
Covenant has a way lower rating on all those
Really?
scales. So Alien Covenant, which is the movie after it, was a 6 out of 10 on IMDb, which is basically average.
Okay.
It was
Yeah,
only
but still.
64% fresh, but it was fresh. It wasn't
Yeah,
rotten.
yeah, majority of people.
It wasn't rotten. But it had a 55% negative audience score.
Like 55%
Whoa.
people didn't like it, or 55% positive. Because when you look at it, it's that green thing, but it's only after you get below
negative.
58.
So negative is the popcorn bucket tipped over, which means that more than 5 reviewers, I think, gave it a
over
negative.
half gave it bad.
Yep.
Okay, majority didn't.
So
like
a majority
it. Okay.
gave it negative review, while Prometheus, where is it? 68% gave it a positive, which I think is interesting.
That's
Because
pretty closely tied.
If we're
though.
talking about general audiences, maybe these are people who just wanted to go see an awesome sci-fi horror movie, and that's what they got. They aren't
general
thinking about
audience
the cast. They
too
aren't thinking
will
about the
usually
script.
general audience too will not usually look up stuff before they go see a movie. They'll show up to the theaters or they'll hear friends talking about a movie and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, it's that movie. Let's go."
I have a friend at my current job right now who does just that. He won't watch trailers. He won't.
They don't look up
anything.
They just go, "Oh, hey, it's cool."
Which is fine.
That's
There's nothing wrong
That's
with
how it
that.
used to be. That's the old school way of doing it.
there's
You
nothing wrong with that.
You would maybe would see a poster,
Well, also
but that's it.
Well, I would say also that I think as we've gained more information, I feel like it's kind of made people to be fair, a lot more dumber or more reliant on things on certain things that makes their vision skewed, I should say, in a certain way.
Right.
But I think, honestly, I believe, especially from like people I've seen just commenting on random things around the internet, I feel like, and I know the comment sections are always disasters, but I'm just saying in general, I think we don't give people a lot of credit of how smart they actually are.
Right.
In terms of their taste and what they want to go for. Like people who wanted to go to Alien Covenant, they're like, "Oh man, I know Ridley Scott did Prometheus. I didn't really like that, but this looks cool. It's got the alien in it. It's got Michael Fassbender in it. It's got that chick I don't know who her name is." But like, I'm sure they were going into like, "I hope I like this," and they'd end up just not rocking out for them.
It's just really interesting to me. And I don't know if that's because what the people said on the podcast, the behind the scenes filmmakers, they said that all of them went into Prometheus expecting an Alien prequel, but that's not what they got because there were 5 different writers on that movie.
Oh no,
man.
that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of had their say in it, and so they put a little bit of everybody's seasoning into the movie, and it turned into what it was.
Well, something you got to remember too when it says it's written by this many people, sometimes it's whoever gets the writing credit is what they're going to list. Like somebody will write a draft, then somebody else will redo it. So they still get that credit as I wrote part of it. So you'll get like probably 2 main writers that come in at the very end and write and iron it all out, maybe keeping some things from that script and some things from that script. So that's why it says there's 5 people on there. Now there's things like The Mummy, that's like a movie made by committee in terms of what it's written by, like the new Tom Cruise Mummy movie that came out like several years ago.
I don't even remember that movie.
But that has like
never saw it.
7 executive producers and like as well as 7 different writers. So the script wasn't really all that cracked up to be.
And look at the
quality
company.
came through.
Yeah.
And
the movie's coming from back when they were trying to do the Dark Verse movies.
Yeah, the Dark Universe. Yep.
Yeah, with all the monsters, and Wolfman was supposed to be a part of it. Dracula,
Frankenstein,
Untold.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Dracula Untold was supposed to be.
Zendaya was going to be Bride of Frankenstein.
And they got like 2
That'd be
movies
kinda
in, and then the Mummy came out. And then it started, and then immediately we heard the news that it was all crashing.
And that's definitely a thing where like you shouldn't plan ahead. You need to get a good movie out first.
They had the DC problem. They had too many people.
The universe thing,
not communicating on the same thing.
yeah. I get what you're saying.
But back to like weird looking at these numbers between Alien Covenant and Prometheus. I wonder if people were like, they saw the alien in the trailer because the first trailer showed the xenomorph, which wasn't in the Prometheus, what people wanted. So like, okay, we're going to give people what they wanted. And they go to see Alien Covenant, and I guess
There's
it
no
still wasn't what
xenomorphs?
they... No, it was.
Well, I think
was?
the ending.
Yeah.
I think
only
the
saw
ending would
one.
get a lot of people in that because it got me for a second. I'm like, oh, okay.
I prefer
All right.
Alien
You're like,
Covenant over Prometheus.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
But
okay.
Prometheus will always have a special place in my heart. But I like Covenant more.
I do too.
Than
I'm
Prometheus.
not that big. Like you're a huge Alien fan. I'm not that big of an Alien fan, but like I appreciate the films and I like a lot of them. And man, Covenant, I really enjoyed that. Like I love Michael Fassbender, so good.
I don't think I saw the second one.
Oh, that makes me want to maybe segue into your ideas and what we were talking about, our differences and stuff. I'm pointing to Chelsea because
I'm pointing at you.
I just want to say
those who
really
can't
quick.
see.
I tend to view movies and appreciate them for a bunch of little things and base them kind of off of that. So if a movie doesn't perform well or if everybody else says it's not good, there's probably like a couple small things in it or maybe one moment of a scene where I'm just like, that was beautiful. Hence why I freaking loved the first Angry Birds movie, and you did not, because I
such
was
a
in
pull.
love
Angry Birds.
with that first Angry Birds movie.
Was it Blue Sky? Blue Sky who made that?
Was it?
I think it was Blue
I'll
Sky.
look it up.
Because they did Ice Age and that back and forth.
No,
Well, no,
I'm pretty
because
sure.
Angry Birds was after they got bought out or whatever.
Well, yeah, but
No.
they did Angry. I'm gonna look
Hang
that
on,
up.
we're
You
looking
keep
it up,
going.
hang
You
on.
keep going.
I was
I'll look it
looking
up.
it up.
I'll look it up.
So anyway, he's looking it up, Chelsea.
Okay.
So, Chelsea, do you have any thoughts on like you said, you're like, it depends on the movie with you, but we had asked you like if you skew more toward the general audience idea or more toward a critical point of view, and you just said it depends on the movie, which is true. Everyone's different. Everyone has different tastes. Each movie's different, made by thousands and thousands of different people. Do you want to talk about the movie we had brought up the last night or the night before, or do you want to?
Okay, what movie? I don't remember.
Yeah,
what
the
we're
one you
talking
said you hated and
about.
that I really liked.
Wait,
and
I
everybody
do
else
know
loved.
because when you mentioned the podcast, there was one movie I thought of.
And what?
And-
Do you want to go ahead and just talk about that right now?
Sure. So my main point that I was thinking of was there are a lot of movies that are released and they're really popular when they first come out. And then a couple years later, people look back and are like, oh, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's movies that come out, people are like, that was bad, but then gain a cult following later.
Right, the cult following, which
Yeah,
takes years
they
sometimes.
We were also talking about like movies that I love. I mean, you said that movies that you love that people don't like, and I said I can think of a movie I really don't like,
that
and
everybody else
that
loves.
everybody I talk to really likes.
Oh, what were you
What were
gonna
you gonna
say?
say?
It was
What they-
Sony Animation.
Oh,
did
it
it.
was Sony
Sony
Animation.
And Rovio produced all of it.
For
Yeah.
Angry
They
Birds.
paid up front.
They
for all
own.
of it. Sony
actually, I
Animation
shouldn't
did
say
it,
that.
which
I don't know who owns Angry
so
Birds.
2016.
The
Sony
game
Animation,
company, Rovio.
Yeah, Rovio, the
Yeah.
game company, who is owned by Sega now, which is interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
They're not owned by
Um,
China? Oh wait, Sega.
No, Sega, which like Sonic.
Sega's Japan.
and, like Sega, Golden
Yeah.
Axe, that kind of thing. But anyway, so yeah, Sony Animation Pictures did it, which is interesting. But also, and they had another one, Sony Pictures Imageworks as well. But also remember, this was before Spider-Verse came out. This was 2 years before Spider-Verse.
Oh, yeah.
So that was cooking in the background while
Sony?
this was releasing. Yeah,
Okay.
Sony. So just to
But Sony also made Hotel Transylvania movies, and those were
Yeah.
ongoing
Is that Sony?
before.
Yeah, that
oh,
was
you're
Sony.
right. Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
that was ongoing before Spider-Verse and after. So
Okay.
Yeah, they had a bunch of. I mean, you could say little movies, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, they're expensive. To
yeah,
make
I loved
still.
that first Angry Birds movie. My reason for one of my main reasons for
Second one was
loving
It's
it.
Mikey. That's why you like it.
Subjective. The second one was.
Did she
sweet.
like
We didn't go together.
Did we go see the second one?
You went and me and her went to see the second one with Billy.
Okay.
I went alone, I think, to the first one, or you were with me. I thought
didn't go
somebody
see
was
it.
with me.
No, I didn't
Maybe
go
it was
see
Somebody was
Lexi.
with you.
It's probably Lexi.
It was probably Lexi.
I had no
Our
interest
little
in
sister.
this. I thought it was gonna be dumb, but I actually like it.
The only thing I
the
like
first
from the first one is Mighty Eagle.
Peter Dinklage is pretty great.
one. Peter Dinklage is so great.
He's
The
awesome.
fact that he's even in that.
Oh man.
One of the small things I just can watch that movie over and over again is the score. I don't know why.
So it's kind of
something about it just.
So is that the movie you're talking about, Chelsea?
No.
Angry Birds. What's
Well,
the movie
You
wait,
brought
okay.
up. You brought up.
Let's get
the
back. Let's
facts
get
about
back to what you were
Okay.
talking about. Sorry.
So going back to what Chelsea was talking about, say what movie it was
So
right
the
now.
movie that everyone
now,
I
say
talk
it.
to
Say it now.
likes a lot, and I just cannot understand why
Okay.
people
can't
like. I really
understand.
can't.
It's Dune.
I can only think factually why someone would like it based off of marketing.
I'm gonna look up
Okay.
the ratings right now while you talk.
It's Maleficent, the Disney live action prequel.
Yeah.
2014,
Yeah, 2014, 10 years ago. Wow.
Maleficent.
directed by Robert Stromberg, featuring Angelina Jolie and Charlotte Copley.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlotte Copley was so wasted.
He's
in
the
that
best
film. I
part
was
of
so
it.
sad. Oh, he was wasted though. I was really sad. He's
Yeah.
just a bad guy. Oh well.
I didn't even know it was him though.
I know you didn't even
Yeah, I
tell. That's how good of an
And
actor
I was
he is.
like, good for him. Good for him. He's in a Disney
he's
movie.
he's getting some pay, money. But.
Get that money.
Get that
didn't
money.
make him look
and
good,
now
though.
he's
Are
in
you
like
ready to
three. He's in
hear-
like 5 movies this
Okay,
year.
so why do you think, well, before you do that, what do you think Maleficent, well, actually, no, you go first, Ad. You go first. What's the Rotten Tomatoes on that?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
what's
it's
Rotten
54% rotten from critics.
Okay, that's currently right.
It's rotten. It's not fresh from critics.
Okay, that's
But
crazy.
58%
What about the
58%
audience score?
rotten.
What about the audience?
The audience score is 70% positive.
Okay, see, every person I talk to face says, "Oh, that movie was good. I liked it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't understand why. So like we went to go see it, and I'm like, okay, this is Maleficent. Okay, we're talking about Maleficent.
Sleeping
here.
Beauty.
She's the
Ultimate
mistress
villain.
of all evil. That's what she calls herself in the movie.
She turns into a dragon at the end.
She is
Sleeping
female
Mm.
Satan.
Female
Yes,
Satan.
she's female
She
Satan.
is. She worships
yeah.
evil.
Yeah, she does. If you
She
go to the
does,
cartoon,
and she doesn't hide it at all. She's not trying to like. She isn't even hiding what she's going to do and like scheming. Like she just shows up and is just like, I have so much power, no one can touch me. Boom, you're cursed. Boom, you're cursed.
That's why she's the best
yeah,
Disney villain.
yeah, and that's what makes it so
Subjectively.
important. Why when they hide Princess Aurora in the old Disney movie, she's like, she can't figure out why she can't find her. She's all like, I'm so powerful, you know. She's there's an amazing character breakdown that can be done way in a different thing, but she is like one of the best and most iconic Disney villains of all time, and for good reason. She is like the face of the Disney villains. So
Right.
like if you have like the Disney villains franchise, it's Maleficent. It's
She's
her
the
like
first one you
horns or
think
it's
of.
green fire, you know, something. And whenever there's like a story with her in it, she's always like the leader. If like the like Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
Pete gets mad that she like pushes him around and stuff, and the other villains too, but she's just like, So if you know who Maleficent is, I love her as a Disney villain, and I'm going to see this movie, and I'm not expecting it to be good at all, you know, because I
Yeah.
saw like the trailers and stuff, and I was like, oh, are you kidding me? You can't recreate that greatness or whatever.
Yeah.
And even though my expectations were low, I didn't expect to be as annoyed as I was. I was so annoyed.
While watching the movie, you were annoyed.
So annoyed because they completely took the character that of like what represents her. She is pure evil,
Mhm.
and the movie completely is like, that never happened. No, she's not. She's not evil. We never said that.
They rebooted the origin story of the character, and
she's secretly good. She just can't show
Right.
it. She can't show
she's
it.
misunderstood.
and I think
villain.
that's just part of the modern Disney
Yeah.
management.
that was like the
and
beginning of it, wasn't it?
I
Of the reboots.
think so, because this was right
it?
after Frozen, and so they
Well,
started
Alice
to do
in
live
Wonderland
action
had, like, a
stuff.
Oh,
sequel.
Alice in
And
Wonderland.
Cinderella came out the year after. The Kenneth
But
Branagh.
Alice in
Cinderella's
Wonderland
more
came out
recent, though.
first.
No, Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella, the one that 2015.
The live action.
Yeah.
Yeah, live action one.
Yeah.
Which I heard great things about, and I've never heard
I
anything.
still have yet to see it.
I've yet to see it as well. I want to see that actually.
So
So I hear
that's-
that's the best Disney live action they've done.
No.
No.
Well, what is the
No,
best?
I
Well, let me ask. What is the best?
Oh, dang it. I thought of it last night. Oh, I was saying.
Shoot! I thought of it when I was sleeping. Okay, well,
Anyway,
so
about
Maleficent, a lot of people like it.
Everyone
Why do you
I
think
talk
that
to
is?
likes it.
What do
So
they
you
say?
brought up general audiences.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the only reason I can think of why people I talk to like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even some Disney fans prefer it. Prefer the
the
character. Prefer that character, not the movie.
No,
but
do they prefer the character because it's Angelina Jolie?
they
Or
don't
is it just
say
how the
why.
character
They
is?
just said that. Oh, I actually like that a lot. I actually prefer
It might be
this
for
better.
100
And
different reasons too.
Yeah.
so
You know,
general audience, right? It appeals to a wide brand of
70% positive.
You
audience
take out,
score.
and there's no scary stuff in it. Take all the scary stuff out, so parents can safely go take their like 3-year-olds to go see it without being upset.
Yeah.
You can't. So you have the parents mainly. I think is the marketing there,
So like
and
families
there's
who
like
can take
there's not
their
even a
children.
specific aesthetic to the movie, like of what it could look like or what it could be and stuff. Like Alice in Wonderland does, Aladdin does,
Mhm.
like they're
Ooh, yeah.
live action ones.
I
mean.
forgot about Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but this one doesn't. It's just very generic in the way it represents everybody and everything. Even the script is generic. And it's the best example of changing too much in a live action remake. If you're going to live action remake the Disney stuff,
Mhm.
Lion King is the best example of keeping stuff too much the same.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't even.
I agree with you
yeah.
on that. But what I
Yeah.
don't agree with you is Maleficent that it's not a good movie.
Okay,
Well,
why
well,
do you think it's good?
Yeah, let's get into the debate about Maleficent.
This is just interesting because we're talking about subjectivity,
Uh-huh.
and like you said, we ate the same mud pies, we were raised in the same house, we were born together. We like a lot of different things though.
They're twins, by
really
the way. If you
different
couldn't
things.
tell.
we're
They're
twins.
twins, by the way. If you didn't get it.
I didn't go into. Okay, no, wait, false. I did want to see her turn into a dragon going into the
don't even
theater.
get started.
We
Don't
didn't
even
get
start.
that, which was disappointing. But I feel like that disappointment didn't overwhelm what I enjoyed about the movie, which was what the heck, Disney is making a dark fantasy, and I'm really liking it right now.
It's not a dark fantasy.
I
It
think,
is a dark fantasy.
No, it's not. It's just a fantasy.
Well. Here's my thing on that. I think it's a taste of what a dark fantasy Disney we could
It's
have.
fake.
It's
But
a
it's not-
family-oriented
but it's
dark
family-oriented.
fantasy.
It's fake.
Like,
with
like I want this Maleficent, but I want like more Dark Crystal kind of vibe. That's what I would like.
But
Dark
you can't.
Crystal, that's a
Families
little
are
too
not going to
dark.
take their kids to go see a movie like Dark Crystal nowadays.
Exactly. And
I think actually you're right. That probably is a good, accurate way of saying if they did
Like, that's a
try
little
to
too
make
dark.
it more, make her more evil, they would probably make that vibe go.
Well, I think it's hard because when Disney makes these kind of choices, when they're trying to bring a character that everybody loves for a certain reason and kind of make it the hero, it's kind of just so backwards to me because it's a movie that to me reeks of
Corporate influence.
Yeah.
movie by committee.
Right.
Also, I was looking up the director. He's actually a visual effects artist, and this was his debut film. And so they also take people like a director who doesn't have a whole lot of experience, and so they'll just have him be there, and the producers can guide him in the direction they want it to go. With
That's
whatever script
true.
they have.
That's
If it's
true.
like a Disney producer, though,
and with
they're like,
Disney,
"Not your pro."
there's stuff that's probably was filmed, that was probably written, that was probably shot and almost done with VFX, that was tested with audiences and it didn't test well. So they said,
test
well, we're just
audiences.
going to go on that and cut all this stuff out and make it really mass appeal to masses.
I feel like it is such
And this is with a lot of movies.
Yeah,
out there,
and
not just Disney.
because
A lot of stuff.
I love the classic Disney like so much, like especially iconic characters like the best villains of all time fall into that Disney category. Like I wish they were the kinds I wish they were like real, like a celebrity. And I'd be like, oh my god, you're real, kind of a
Like
thing.
when you see
that's how
the
much I love these
you
characters.
see the character walking around in Disneyland, you're like, oh my
you
god,
know it. You
it's
know it.
Maleficent.
You know
Oh my
it. I get
God.
so excited and I go up and I'll be like, oh my god, it's you.
And that's what
Sign my book.
Disney is banking on, is that
But
you're
this
going
isn't
to...
Maleficent.
Well, I know, and that's the thing. They're going to...
and they named it after her.
And here's the thing, they're just gonna play on your nostalgia. That's what the whole Lion King thing was. It was just playing on nostalgia. It was
Yeah.
playing on
yeah.
your love for the old thing. I mean, it's all with these same live action remakes. That's why they make so much money. People are like, "Oh, I love the old one. Let's go watch the live action remake."
They don't even
Like, I mean, and I was really disappointed, specifically with Aladdin, because I love Guy Ritchie, and they didn't. Guy Ritchie is such his own
couldn't
kind
be
of
Guy
thing,
Ritchie.
but he couldn't be Guy Ritchie. He had to be like
Except for twice.
Now, I will say.
Those two
Except for
shots
do you
where
mean,
time
except for
slowed,
twice?
time slowed down in two
Oh, that's
shots.
right. Yeah, 2 shots. Yeah.
That's it.
But I get it. He's under Disney's. He's got a gig with Disney. He's getting paid. He also wants to keep a good relationship, so he'll will keep his liberties aside to make them happy.
And
I
a
get
job
that.
is a job too.
A
You're
job
gonna
is
get
a job.
money
Yeah.
for it.
You're gonna get
So-
money for it. And I liked overall the movie, but I wish there was more Guy Ritchieisms. Also Jafar sucked balls in that movie.
That Jafar
He was
was
so
disappointing.
bad.
So I was really enjoying the whole movie. We went to go see it as a family.
You would bring me the lamb.
He's so
He won't
bad.
take my lunch money.
He's so bad at it. Anyway, but I think Maleficent,
like So I again, like we went to go see Aladdin, and I was like, yeah, what's the giant snake gonna look like?
giant snake. Yep.
No giant.
You're
giant
such obsessed with like,
But-
in a good way, creature feature stuff.
I
And
love
that.
creature
It's
feet, and
funny.
I mean, look how terrifying the original Aladdin was.
It was scary.
That a lot of the Disney movies are very terrifying.
Scariest thing in that was Jasmine, man. Make you nervous as a little boy. This is a little too much, Mom.
I will let you know. I did think she was very pretty as a child. I was like, wow.
Same.
Look at all that skin.
I still think she's very pretty.
Yeah. So pretty.
I actually got really depressed growing up because I had a problem with weight, and I would look at this
Jasmine.
dumb. I would look at like
Yeah, it's like,
the
girl.
figures of Disney princesses, and one of them was Jasmine because she has a midriff.
Well, hang on. Pause.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
And Ariel had a midriff and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, as a grown up, that's what you were going to get as a grown up girl,
Right.
a grown up woman growing up. And then of course, like I couldn't even look at them growing up as a teenager. It hurt too much. knowing
Yeah.
that my stomach would never be that way.
Which is crazy because Disney is so ingrained into like our society and pop culture and like entertainment and stuff like that. It's like you looked at those movies as a kid and you're like, that's what I'm supposed to look like.
Right.
When that's not
Yeah.
the ideal, that's not realistic and that's not the ideal.
Yeah, of course. Which is the parents' job to try and, coach the kids on, it's just a movie. This is someone's view of what it's a cartoon. It's not what a real body looks like,
Back to the
But you
Aladdin
don't think
thing.
of that as a parent. You're just like, okay, babysitting time, put on the movie.
Yeah.
So-
Back to the Aladdin thing though. We didn't get the giant snake, but we did get an awesome song from Jasmine.
I
Yeah, that was
love
good.
that
And
song.
good.
I listened to
Good
that
song.
song.
I'm a Will Smith fan, so I loved
Friends Like
Subjectively,
Me.
I
He made
love
it. He made it.
When we got to Friends Like Me, I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
Like I'm not cringed at all.
very
I love it.
surprisingly good. Yeah, because
Yeah, that's one of the good ones is Aladdin.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was interesting that
I feel like that one just worked in a lot of different ways, but
Yeah.
Maleficent kind of just doesn't.
I think it works.
It's too safe.
Not if you go into it expecting what you were expecting.
Yeah, I think that's
With
part
high
of it.
But you're never gonna
expectations
get
as a
anything
Disney
you're
fan.
expecting because it's nothing of what
Well,
advertised.
that should clue you in then. Don't go into a Disney live action remake expecting
I
the
did
original.
and I was
Yeah,
still
you did.
No, I didn't. I went into Disney Maleficent. I said it earlier.
Yeah, what did you?
I said
you expect?
I
What
didn't
did you
expect to like it. I didn't expect to go in expecting Maleficent, but
I did have an
I ended
expectation. I didn't expect to like it.
So what made me the most angry was I was like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. I was looking at everybody around me. I was like, right, that was the worst movie I've ever seen.
And she's surrounded by parents with their little children.
wow. Everybody around me is like, that was so good.
Mommy, that was awesome.
No,
Sharks were
no,
cold,
we
they got
went with
stabbed in the
somebody.
gullet.
Did we go with?
I do remember
Our cousins.
sounds
It was
of
with,
children in the
wasn't it
theater.
with
though.
Josh and Elaine? Or was that? No,
No.
that was Frozen.
No.
That was Frozen.
I
when we
want to
did
say
that.
it
No,
was.
that was Wally.
Maybe Andrew Nevin.
Well, that was Wally too. We also did Frozen with them. Oh, it could have been Andrew Nevin. I
We
think
went
so.
with somebody I remember, and I
Yeah.
remember looking around. They're like, "Oh, that was actually good," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I felt like it was just me.
You were the Lonely Island.
I was.
Yeah, you were
Day.
the Lonely Island.
I was
Yeah.
being stepped on too.
Yeah, I
Like,
kind of.
shut up!
I kind of agree with
They
you.
will. You don't get to talk.
You don't like strong female
bad.
characters. Oh man.
You
Well, it's
better
also
like my
funny.
Lana Del Rey remake of that song in the movie.
There's more I can go over with Maleficent, but I feel like there's more to talk about in general about that kind of thing. Like Disney in general, I mean, you look at Star Wars and they kind of just, it's not whitewashing, but it's like they're kind of just making it so bland to appeal to so many people at once.
Yeah, too safe.
And to really like harvest the nostalgia out of every little bit of it, that it's just so disappointing to me to see because there's so much more you could do with it. I mean, we just got today the trailer for the Acolyte series.
I thought it looked good.
And it looks, yeah, we did.
I watched
And
it. She hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, we can watch it later. It looks fine. Looks good. I like the actors.
I think it's cool.
People, and it looks cool.
I think
but
the time period
I
is what's
just
cool.
I don't trust them to
Very
make
cool.
it good because there's been so many examples of them making it bad. And I hear great things about the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I'm
That's a
not
weird
getting
thing.
my hopes.
There's
I
some
like the
things
Bad
that
Batch.
look great, like Andor. I watched the first 3 episodes of that.
Oh,
Can't wait
I
to
love
finish
Andor.
that. Well, I can't wait. I don't watch TV really anymore. But anyway, I just am kind of bummed out that even though the people that I trusted with Favreau and Filoni, it's kind of like they're kind. And even Ahsoka, I was really kind of. I didn't even finish Ahsoka because I'm like, this isn't really grabbing me,
So
and I just feel sad.
I feel sad.
I just feel sad.
But
But I don't know.
from a business
there's so
point
many
of view,
nitpicky things.
I
guess
think
could
they
go into, but I
have
won't.
gotten to that point though because they desperately need money in the Star Wars area.
Yeah.
That they're desperate and they're going to be trying to appeal more to what made the money in the first place with the first one with Rey.
Yeah,
Why
they're
can't I think
gonna
of the name
probably
of it?
dive more into movies in general.
So that one
hopefully.
made so much money
We-
because what's his name? J.J. Abrams made
my
it so much
God.
like the first Star Wars movies. So now that they're so desperate, like in our Star Wars department, we're losing money, or supposedly losing money.
Oh yeah,
Anything they put out, it's going to be out of desperation.
I mean, we
so
haven't had
I'm
a-
not surprised that things have gotten to that point. I
and
don't
they're
know why
not
you're,
making
you know.
choices that will make them money. Like Disney Plus, the shows aren't gonna make them money like a move, like a putting it out in a theater would. Like I don't
No.
like one thing that's a great example right now of making good money out of a series is Chosen. The Chosen has been
The
making,
Chosen.
The Chosen has been releasing their episodes in theaters like every other weekend, like 1 through 3,
Yeah, into, like,
4
3-hour
through
segments or
5 or
whatever.
6, and then 7 through 8. And I was sitting there with Dad. We went to go see the last 7 and 8 of season 4, and it was like really cool to see that on the big screen. And I'm like, imagine if because when Rings of Power did this, the first 2 episodes was in theaters. Ahsoka should have.
it?
Yeah, it was. It was like you can go see it for like
I would
one
see
night.
that in theaters.
But like they should be doing this with their series because The Chosen made like $10 million in one weekend. And it's like, that's money sitting on the table that's just on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can get more subscribers, but we're getting to the point in streaming specifically.
Well, there were a couple
that is
movies
plateauing.
that were COVID movies, and they were directly released on a Disney Plus, and then they tried to bring them back into
yeah, but
theaters.
now we're past that now. I'm talking about them making money today.
No, I know,
And
but
it's
then like people that still didn't want to go see it. It wasn't
Well, the
making
difference
money.
between that is that was, pandemic stuff. And Disney had like, they were under new management as well. So they were pushing Disney Plus so much. And as a result, they lost a ton of money because they didn't make any return. If they put episodes out, they'll at least get some kickback and say, okay, this is episodes 1 and 2 for this weekend and this next. And then we're going to release the other ones periodically. You can also go into theaters as well. I just think there's so many different ways they can make money. Like Madam Web just came out and Sony just announced that they're going to have all 8 Spider-Mans in like every Monday night in the theaters, which is cool. So they're like, man, we need to make some money. So here we go.
Yeah, that desperation.
I don't even know how you schedule that. That's a nightmare.
Do you think it's the general audience obviously is not gravitating towards those Star Wars shows? Which is funny because if we're talking about families with kids, they most likely have Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Okay, you said Star Wars, so I went looking up online to see what people were saying about. So you can look up a Rotten Tomatoes rating now, but it's only the current day and age view on that movie. But I want to know what that score was when the movie was first released. Was it bad? Was it good? Was it better than it is now, or was it worse than it is now? I found a Reddit there where people were talking about that, and this is Reddit, so you can only take it with a grain of salt. You don't know what's true or what's not, but there are people saying. Someone said, example, Empire Magazine gave Attack of the Clones, that's the second of the prequel Star Wars movies, a 5 out of 5 stars when it first released.
Oh.
They said that same reviewer then revisited it about 3 years later and gave it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
Wow, dang. Well, because also
according to this Reddit user.
Yeah. Another example, someone said, Indiana Jones, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, number 4. So it's Indiana Jones 4 got a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Positive?
Positive. 77% fresh. It says nowadays when you go on there, it says more like 40% trash, and it's practically every movie.
That's interesting.
It's funny reading some people's comments.
I wonder if those critics can go back and edit their vote.
I wonder. I don't know.
Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know how it works.
You have an
I don't
account,
know.
Right? I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I mean, I can
so.
do that on Goodreads and Amazon. I can go back and change the rating of a book I read.
Yeah.
Years later.
But I don't know if a critic could go back and change it. Because like once he submits it,
And the ratings probably, it doesn't say whether it's critic score or audience score.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably audience score they're talking about. Because that I bet you could go in and edit
the
your own
specific
account
example
and stuff.
with the magazine was from a critic of that magazine, though, right?
Yeah, the Empire Magazine.
Yeah, Empire, yeah.
Another example, someone said the flavor of the year, which I'm not familiar what that is, but they said flavor of the year gave best picture winners to movies such as The Greatest Show on Earth, and Out of Africa, Driving Miss Daisy, and Disney's Around the World in 80 Days.
Interesting. Okay. So that's the flavor. That's the flavor.
Do you remember that movie, Jake?
Huh?
It's
With
not
Jackie
an
Chan.
Oscar-winning movie.
Around the World
With
in 80 days?
days?
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
live
It's
action.
so weird.
That's
It's
interesting.
really weird.
Like I don't.
I remember when it came out.
What's
like,
that called? The
we were
flavor.
13.
What movie did that? The
Flavor of the year.
Well, that's just some random magazine.
It's like
It's not like
it's their
Vanity
opinion.
Fair or anything.
Apparently, it's
you know?
their opinion of what those movies should have been nominated for.
And that's where I think I would like
Around
to.
the World in 80 Days.
And I
Best
think
Picture.
honestly, that's what I like. The whole thing about rating it, I think, is kind of hard because for me, I kind of want to look past the ratings and I'm like, yeah, but is this something like for my taste am I going to like? And that's why I think a lot of people have really hung on to like people who, whether it be influencers or a specific reviewer they follow. Like a lot of people follow Jeremy Johns, for example, and he kind of goes based off of if the movie was entertaining or what it made him feel.
Yeah.
And people,
Personal feel.
Yeah, personal feel. Yeah. And then I like Chris Stuckman a lot because he's more of the auteur, like director kind of person who really
he is a
appreciates.
director,
he
so-
appreciates film for what it is.
Yeah.
And
He knows how it's made.
like
he knows
he
all
can
the
go and
technical
watch.
things.
You can go and watch. He's one of the persons you can go and watch Citizen Kane and really have a good time and enjoy it for what it is.
Citizen
But
Kane?
also go watch Fast Five and enjoy it for what it is as well.
Right.
Like that's
Yeah.
kind of like Evil Dead, like we were talking about earlier. Like I love Evil Dead, but I'm not going to compare
weird.
the Army of Darkness to Evil Dead Rise that came out just a little bit ago.
The
Because those are
remake? remake?
totally different movies.
Yeah.
No, Army
Isn't
of
Evil
Darkness
Dead
is
Rise like an actual horror movie.
yeah, it's an actual horror film.
Yeah, it's not camp at all.
Army of Darkness is total camp, total comedy. Sam
Yeah.
Raimi going off the walls, but it's a fun ride.
Yeah, it's meant to be wacky. It's not meant to be taken
So I
seriously
think
at all.
just attaching yourself or finding people you trust and looking to what they have similar tastes in and finding recommendations off of that. I think that's what a lot of people have done now.
Yeah, that
instead of
definitely
going and that
helps.
surpassed Rotten Tomatoes. That'll always surpass Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So
It's important to remember though to have your own opinion on things.
yeah,
too.
like for example,
Because
like,
I used
yeah.
to be really hooked on
Oh,
when
yeah,
we
same.
first got
Uh-huh.
like the internet.
yeah.
I would like believe everything that people who publish videos would say, and we'll be like, "Oh, yep, they're right, they're right."
Yeah.
And then I would look at the comments and get really mad and stuff because I didn't know that toxicity attaches it so easy.
Yeah.
And then like I would talk to people face to face and realize that they had the opposite opinion, but I couldn't tell people to their face. Like I told people in the comments how mad I was that they didn't agree with the person publishing. And then I realized we all have our own opinion.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay if you don't agree with the person you look up to.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Right? It's important to have your own opinion, but doesn't mean you shouldn't respect them. Right?
Do we want to get into
Whatever you want to.
name some movies? I have a list prepared, but do we want to name some movies that are subjectively both critics and audiences did not like
Oh, they agreed?
that I like?
Oh,
So, like,
That's what I
movies
have a
that-
list
you
of.
mean movies that we enjoyed, but
Other people
most
don't.
people didn't.
Well, if I'm looking at I looked at Rotten Tomatoes, you look at the audience score, and then you look at the IMDb and I was looking up some of my favorite movies that I've seen over 20 times. Like I said, these are movies I've seen over 20 times. And both critics and audiences were in somewhat agreement.
Wow. And you're like the island.
And I'm just like, I love this. But I'm not looking at it. I guess I'm not looking at it from
guess
either
I'm looking at
side's
it
point of view
wrong.
because, like I said, I'll look at a movie and there'll be like maybe one scene or a little detail or the performance of an actor that for me, I'm like, oh, I elevate it.
Yeah, I have
You
some
know?
moments like that too. I couldn't name off the top of my head, but like, yeah, one moment.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing that I kind of look at with stuff is, especially with video games or music or movies, if there's a majority of things that I enjoy about that certain, while I was consuming that kind of media, if there was a majority of things I liked out of it versus what I didn't like, then I'm probably going to have I'm just going to be positive on that in general. I'm like, oh yeah, it was good. Yeah, I liked it.
And I think
like it.
like just with age,
Like I
as
can
you
look
get
past,
older,
I can also look past the bad stuff.
yeah, well,
know.
as you get older,
And if you enjoy it, then
not
fine,
older,
you know?
as you mature, because
As
there are
you
some people who
mature.
are
Yeah.
old
That's
people
different,
who are not
Who have not grown
emotionally
up.
mature. Well, as you mature, just agreeing to disagree with people and hearing people's opinion and being like, okay, I respect your opinion because I'm not you. I was not raised in the same house you were. I do not like the same things you do, but we're still friends. So,
Yeah.
I actually have a couple people at my current job who are like that. And, yeah, and I have a couple movies already written out.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Unless if you only have time to look up one movie for you, but,
No, go for it. Go for
okay,
it.
so the first one, I'm going by, let's see.
I'm going to go grab some Blu-rays while you do that.
Get a visual
I can't
representation.
He can't remember.
I'm a visual
See,
learner.
that's why I came ahead of time. I was debating like what score to go by though. Like, should I go by the critics or the audience?
You mean as the leading?
as like the
score?
most negative score?
Oh.
Should I just do whichever one's the most negative on all sides?
Sure, why not?
Okay, let's see.
Make it look like your
Okay,
opinion matters more.
So the first one, I only have 3. We already talked about Prometheus and Alien Covenant. So I only have 3 more left. So the first one, which is the least hated on both sides, would be The Chronicles of Riddick, which was a sequel in 2004. after a movie called Pitch Black with Vin Diesel. It's like a grisly science fiction kind of military kind of Dune movie, but way lower budget.
Well, isn't it? That was the one that everyone kind of first heard of.
The Chronicles of Riddick. I mean, well, the first one was an independent film, so that kind of makes sense.
I'm talking about Pitch Black.
Pitch Black was an independent film.
Nobody knew what Riddick was. They don't even today, if you ask anybody, hey, have you seen Pitch Black? Oh, yeah, I have seen that movie. Oh, so you like the other movies? And they're like, what other movies?
Because nobody Chronicles of Riddick was more well known just because it was always on TV.
Oh yeah,
it was always on TV. They never played the other one
every day.
So that score is it's 29% rotten from critics, but it has a 65% positive audience score. So it's over. Okay. It's almost it's over the 50% mark on the positive score. So it's 65% audience score, and I think that could come from Vin Diesel's fans. I think Vin Diesel fans were the ones who were following him to those movies, because when the third movie came out, which was kind of a remake of Pitch Black, all his fans helped support him, and he had to take a mortgage out on his house to help fund the movie because the studio would not give the money for it. It's just called Riddick, the third one.
Yeah.
And it was a sequel that everybody was waiting for, but by then I feel like most of the general audiences that knew even what Riddick was had died out. Yeah. Not died out literally, but like lost interest in the movie. Yeah. So that one's actually the most positive on both sides for my list because it has a 65% audience score, even though critics gave it 29% rotten. Okay. The next one up, which would be probably both sides agree the most, it's going to be Transformers 4, Age of Extinction.
Okay.
2014.
What was the first one you did? I missed it. What was the first one you said?
Chronicles of Riddick, which was the second Riddick movie after Pitch Black.
Okay, now we're on the number 2.
Okay. Jake's back, by the way.
Hello,
Chelsea.
I didn't know.
Actually,
I didn't know. I didn't know
you should be Sherlock Holmes.
So, Transformers 4, Age of Extinction.
Oh, okay. I'm ready. Give it to me. I want to hear
it. Critics said it was 18% rotten. Audience score.
Wait, like currently?
Currently. These are recent. These are all recent. So it's currently at 18% rotten from critics, 50% negative audience score from audiences. All the other ones, even the latest one, Rise of the Beast. Yeah. The first one, I'm surprised, had a closer
it was
negative audience score. The 2007 first one.
I thought it would be more
I thought it would be more positive too with audiences, but the current rating, I'm sure back then it was, but now the current rating is kind of I think it's like 30% negative only from audiences. I have to look at it again. Okay. So, Age of Extinction. I freaking love that movie.
Just listing these, or are you like justifying?
I'm just listing them right now.
Okay.
The last one on this list, which has everybody, it looks like both critics and audiences just don't like this movie, is Chappie. It's 32% rotten from the critics score, and it's 56% negative audience score.
What was the critics one?
The critics gave it 32% rotten.
Oh!
Wow.
But it has a higher IMDb score than Transformers 4. Transformers 4's IMDb score is only 5 out of 10, and Chappie is 7 out of 10.
Interesting.
That's Neil Blomkamp's third theatrical release film before he went over to Oats Studios, which is
like his
completely
last major
independently,
film, right?
Before he was completely independently funded with Oats Studios, and then he went into the more experimental stuff with. He believes that video games and VR is the future of entertainment.
That's where he's been working.
That's cool.
He believes video games. He's got some fascinating stuff in the Oats Studios.
It makes sense why. What's the one? Forza? No, not. Is it Forza?
Oh, no.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
No, the car movie.
Oh, Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he directed that.
Yeah, it's funny because I was like, this is stupid, and then I was like, wait a minute, who's doing it? Yeah. I was like, that makes so much sense because he's been directing video games.
He's been pro video game entertainment.
As a side thing, I was helping out an old lady.
He gets a pass.
I was helping out this old lady with tech stuff that I know, and she's like, oh yeah, me and my husband are going to go to a church movie night. And I'm like, oh yeah, what are you guys gonna go see? And she's like, oh, it's called it's not Gran Torino. That's the Clint Eastwood movie. And I was like, oh, is it Gran Turismo? And she's like, yeah, the car one. And I was like, oh yeah. And so then I caught up with her later, Like I took her computer back and then I was like, what'd you think of the movie? She's like, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And that's what I've heard a lot about that film, actually.
Yeah. And
One
you
of the
can
guys
tell
at work
it's
saw
on
it.
a
Neil
much.
Blomkamp's a good director.
2 guys
He's a good
I
director.
know at work saw it, and I asked them what they thought about it, and they're like,
It was
"Yeah,
zoom,
it's
zoom.
okay."
It was zoom, zoom.
Yeah.
To be fair, with most of these movies, like I said, there's things about them I love that I feel like a lot of people, just don't resonate with me. I'm a huge robot nerd. Huge robot nerd. So obviously Transformers.
We're droid heads.
Yeah, Transformers and Chappie both.
Droid
Like I
heads?
love
Droid head.
Droid heads. That's a weird.
I love Chappie. If you've never seen Chappie,
I like it.
it's so
really
interesting what they do when they talk about like
It's fascinating.
what
is
robots
it
could
is.
be and stuff like that. And just the fact that a movie about like a robot with this personality who kind of starts basically like a baby and is raised by these really sketchy people.
Yeah,
so he's influenced by
the wrong
them
people.
and he has to learn on his own that how the world really works because he lives in basically isolation with them because they're criminals. And if they come out, like go out anywhere, they're going to get arrested. I feel like a lot of the malice toward that movie is both Hugh Jackman's performance and Sigourney Weaver's performances.
She doesn't do it.
There is also kind of a hate following for the Antwoord, the band
That was weird to
played in the
me.
movie.
But that
I
I feel
like
like the
Antwoord.
backlash with concerning them as a music group is a lot like when you get backlash for like music nerds who idolize, like who have a singer they look up. They're like, oh my god, they're so good. But then they'll like go and bash the opposite. Like if their favorite singer is playing at a concert with another singer, they'll like purposefully go and like they'll go like haze them and stuff just to make their singer look good.
Getting back to
It's
the
terrible.
movie, getting back to the
I don't know what
movie.
you're talking about. I was like looking at my computer and then you're talking about
Getting back to the movie.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
You're on the computer.
I was doing get my stuff lined up.
You're not listening.
Okay, so keep going.
Yeah, just my last final comment on that is I can understand, like I can see the flaws in these movies, but there's so much I love about them. I've seen these movies at least 25 times each.
Dang,
in my lifetime. I will watch them again. Yeah, that's what I got.
You got Prometheus and Alien Covenant there, right?
Yeah, we already talked about it, so I didn't mention it.
All right, cool. Yeah.
One you didn't mention is Lightyear.
That's not that's certified fresh.
What?
By critics or
Are you
Certified
serious?
fresh by critics.
I'm
I
gonna
think
look
it
it up.
has a 70% score or something like that. And then
Yeah, the critics
audience
liked it a lot.
score.
I
is
didn't know
high.
that.
When I looked it
really?
up, because I was going to include it, I'm like, I can't include this. It doesn't count.
Yeah, it's all high.
84% audience
84%.
score positive.
And that's 5,000 reviews.
I can't.
even though
believe
people
that.
were upset of how progressive it was.
74% tomato meter with 321 reviews.
I
That's
thought
pretty
for sure because
interesting.
all I heard people saying was how boring it was.
It's not a quote unquote
bad.
bad movie like
Yeah, it's not
these
bad.
movies, the other movies I
like it.
listed would be. It's just, I feel like an underappreciated movie.
But
Most
agree with
people
that.
who've seen it like it.
I think that's so. I
yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
that. I thought people.
So it's
hated
not
it.
considered
I
a
thought it
quote
was
unquote
hated
bad
too.
movie.
Well, it was
it's a
a
good movie.
financial failure, but I think that it says right here.
Therefore, it's
Generally, a lot of people really
Which is
like the
interesting
film.
because that could get back to what Chelsea was saying about like many years later, it gets the rating will change or people's feelings will change despite these movies being financial failures.
Do you guys,
or successes?
before we hand it over to you, Chels, you guys want to know what these,
not prepared, by
these
the way.
films just popped up as suggested on Rotten Tomatoes. Dragonheart is like 50% on Rotten Tomatoes with the
Really?
critics and 60% of audiences. So it's like
Positive with
right down the middle.
See how this is negative?
Yeah, I know.
audiences, not
No, I get you.
positive. Yeah.
So 50%, it's 50%. So it's 50%
Oh,
like
look
it,
at
50% don't
Scorpion
like it.
King.
That's one I like.
Scorpion King.
But
Okay, but look,
Dragonheart.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, 53% of the critics did not enjoy it, and the others did.
The
and,
audience
and it has a 72% audience.
Because all I
Positive
know
audience score.
based
Positive
off criticism for that movie is when it came out and it was very widely, it was big.
Yeah.
People liked it.
Yeah.
Critics liked it.
It made a lot of money.
I mean, the one thing I heard
Lot
one
of money.
complain mainly, and it was that Johnny Depp is just too busy running around being goofy. And that was the only thing, that was like the main thing everybody agreed on. But
Yeah.
everybody was like, oh no, it's actually a lot
or
of fun.
critics by that time were just tired that the fact that now this is a franchise and we're just seeing the same thing over and over
Yeah,
again.
like
While
we have
audiences
so
are just
many
loving
now
a
that when you
blockbuster
look
movie.
back, you're like, okay, I understand. And you kind of get why they would rate it lower.
That actually
It's weird.
applies to the Transformers movies because audiences, you can see the ratings get, except for the latest one and Bumblebee, those two are both really high.
Yeah.
love Bumblebee.
But before that, when Michael Bay was directing them, you can see critics going, this is just the same thing we've seen, while audiences are just like, I want to see this popcorn movie. So they go and they give it a
like
positive
Fast and
audience
Furious.
score.
Like Fast and
Yeah,
Furious.
Fast and
Yeah,
Furious.
is it a popcorn muncher?
You can shake on that.
You shake on that.
Fast and Furious
Yeah.
and there's more of them made though. So
We are having the same feelings
We have the
over
same
the
feelings,
franchises
yeah.
we like. So
Chelsea,
glad we can agree on something.
regale us with those films you have listed, or if you have any.
I actually
are
don't.
they?
You want to do yours first? I can
Yeah.
only think of like one, but it's kind of.
So,
Actually, I'll just say one.
Well, I have two. I'll let you think about it. 'cause I
why
have
don't
two-
you look
I
up
have
the movie you're talking about?
I have four
I
Blu-rays.
did. Okay.
I have four Blu-rays here,
Okay.
and two are like generally seen as very positive. The other one's kind of not. I'm just going to throw them in random order. I have King Kong from 2005, the Peter Jackson one, the one that's 3 hours.
Oh,
I
wow.
love this film so much.
don't
I haven't
remember
seen
being
it.
3 hours.
Tomato meter.
I know. I haven't seen it like a gajillion times or anything, but I think it's, and I love Peter Jackson in general. And I think you could see that I really like this film. There's a lot you can appreciate about it. It's also like an epic you can watch as well. And there's not many directors that can really pull it off very well. And I think this one from 2005, King Kong, is great. The tomato meter is it's got 286 reviews. It's at 84% positive. So it's like certified fresh or
It's
whatever.
certified fresh, it says.
The audience is split in the middle after 250,000 like audience ratings.
Dang.
It's right in the middle. People are like, or I like it. Whatever reasons those are. I would love to know, especially when you're talking about the Star Wars stuff, the people who reviewed Rise of Skywalker negatively or positively or whatever we were talking about, I can't remember. Or Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens.
Would those same critics from 50 years ago, whatever, doesn't matter.
that movie is not 50 years old.
What?
said
Star
50?
Wars?
The Rise of the Force Awakens?
No, not for. Well,
New
hey,
Hope?
in 3 years, Star Wars is going to be 50 years old, guys.
The first, like a new
The
hope.
Yeah.
first one, A New Hope. Yeah.
But you were talking about the Force Awakens.
Anyway,
so I'm like,
so King Kong, I'd highly recommend it. It's a good watch. A lot of the critics liked it. It is 3 hours. It is a long film. Watch it in chunks. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. My second one is Hail Caesar. It's a Coen Brothers movie. Came out in 2016. It's star-studded cast. It's a comedic, like screwball comedy about the old Hollywood and gold age of Hollywood and the antics of that day, and in a really funny light. So you got like George Clooney. What's his name? I got it right here. You got George Clooney. You got Ray Fiennes is in it. Jonah Hill is in there for a second. The guy who played, I think, Solo from A Star Wars Story, who played Solo.
Yep.
He is Hobie Doyle in this film. He's a
Hobie
cowboy turned drama actor, and it's great. It's certified fresh from critics.
He's like
Makes
the
sense.
best character.
Yeah, he's so great.
86%.
86%
Certified
positive
fresh.
with 362 reviews. So you're in the 300s. So it's a lot of critics like it. And a 44% audience score.
Negative audience
score. So people did not like this a lot.
But it's the Coen brothers, so they're like
They're
Hollywood's
kind of
babies.
and they're kind of hit and miss, I say, with the audience in general.
It's kind of like a Wes Anderson thing. The Coen brothers give me Wes Anderson vibe, but more gritty. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like critics, are gonna like it, but it's a hit or miss with audiences.
I also have the King Kong Steelbook from Best Buy. It's real pretty. So yeah, we have Hail Caesar. I'd recommend that. It's a screwball comedy if you like stuff like What's Up, Doc.
There's some funny moments in
You're
it.
going to like it. It's really funny. Dry humor, but it's generally pretty good. I'm going to get the next one out of the way called Man of the Year. Have you guys heard of this movie? With
I've heard of it, but
Robin
I've never
Williams?
seen
I
it.
have not heard of it.
Okay, so basically...
Wait. Is this one where he's trying to be president?
Yep.
Oh, I saw one ad when it was coming out.
You should watch it with me. It's only rated R for like 2 F words, and it's like really fun to watch. And it's
Look
like...
at the score.
I know. So critics hated this movie. 21%
Rotten.
And it's got
45% negative audience.
45% negative. This one was also, I think, 05, 06. And basically, all you need to know about this film is like what's it called? This guy runs for president he's a comedian who hosts his own talk show, and he runs for president. And he gets like a majority of votes and everything. And it has to do with how voting systems are glitching out when he's trying to get elected, and there's a whole bunch of drama, and like why people are going after him.
I feel like a couple other
got,
movies did that.
But it's basically like
Swing Vote was.
it's
one
like a fun version of watching like Trump's president campaign in 2016, but it's like Robin Williams as the guy.
Well,
Yeah.
and he's super.
If
super
I
great
remember
in it.
right, he's like commentating on all of like the controversies
controversies of the day.
and
it's
like
so
he covers
great.
like Bill Clinton and stuff.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's
I
so
actually
great.
laughed at that joke. I was like, "What the heck?"
It's such a fun movie, and Robin Williams is just this is like him at 100%, running at 100%, and it's just such a joy to watch. I'd highly recommend it. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but go into it and being like, "Oh, this is like a comedian trying to get elected," and it's
Well,
Robin Williams.
Of course, you're gonna recommend all these. We're all gonna recommend these movies we're listing.
Yeah, that's why we're listening.
Subjectivity.
That's what we
Highly
just
recommend
talked
it.
about. We
I know.
just established it.
Subjectivity.
The second one, which I kind of cheated, Drunken Master 2, a Jackie Chan film, I kind of cheated because it's positive on both scores.
Why?
I know, that's what I'm confused about. Because this film, I think, is extremely polarizing in terms of the pacing and the comedy and just, it's from a different era. But I guess it's because
also for a different audience.
it's also
I
for a
think.
different audience.
It's not with
that's
American
why.
audiences in mind.
Also,
you know,
it's rated R, and I don't know why it's rated R. I mean, there's a little bit of blood.
Because it's foreign.
But it's
That's the only reason.
it's kind of like
It's
one
foreign,
of
and they
those-
didn't bother to watch
There's
it.
so many awesome kung fu comedies out there that you can actually find that aren't Jackie Chan as well, that are just amazing and wonderful stunt work and wonderful comedy that's influenced into it. A lot of Chinese ones and Korean ones. But Drunken Master 2, I'd recommend it. Don't even watch the first one. Just watch Drunken Master 2, rent it,
This doesn't matter.
and just turn on the dub and get ready to laugh your butt
yeah,
off.
the dub.
Because
like,
the dub is
that's why.
so bad.
it's pretty
It's
funny.
So
So
bad.
bad.
But it's so funny. It's like, I know where to go. It's kind of like
Yeah.
what's that movie?
Kung Pao.
Kung Pao. It's kind of like Kung Pao in that way.
It just made fun of the whole point of dubbing, like
Yeah,
how
dubbing.
ridiculous it is.
And the dub is terrible in this.
It has,
but it's really funny.
Though one thing I genuinely not ironically loved about that movie is
Because we sat down and watched it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
we
it
did.
his mom or his mother-in-law?
It's his mom.
His mom.
Yeah.
That is one of the best female characters I've ever seen in a movie ever.
And it's not even played by
She
Michelle Yeoh.
She is like so
She's such a piece of
bad.
work.
Like, she's so bad, but in a good way. Bad, like a queen. Like she's awesome. She
okay,
can hold her
yeah.
own. Like you kind of go into a movie like
and that's what a
kung
lot
fu
of
movie you
yeah.
expect kind
that's
of.
what a lot of Jackie Chan stuff does. There's like Police Story where like he has to rescue the girl.
Yeah.
But like a lot of his films are filled with like Michelle Yeoh, like who plays these characters that are
Like,
like
really
kick
pro-female.
butt
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you? There's one on Amazon I can't remember, but I'll show it to you after we're done. Where it's her and Cindy Rothrock or whatever in this like buddy comedy movie that's all in Chinese, and it's on Amazon Prime. I'll have to show it to you when we're done. But
Yeah.
anyway, those are my 5 films. You got 4 films. Let me learn how to count. King Kong, Hail Caesar, Man of the Year, and Drunken Master 2. So
I
anyway,
totally lost my train of thought. I was gonna look up one more that I actually.
what do you got? I'm curious.
I couldn't think of anything. See, I didn't
That's
make
okay.
a list.
No, that's okay. I didn't
The
make one.
first thing I thought of though. Okay, this is so weird. Where is it? I swear to God. So before, as we're recording this, it's 2023. We have
No, it's not.
Sorry,
It's
no,
2024.
It's 2024. We have yet to see the outcome. There's already controversy about the new Snow White movie, right?
Yeah,
we don't need to
a
talk
lot of
about. We don't
controversy.
need to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, before this whole debacle even happened, before Disney even announced that we're going to be making a live action or anything,
Mhm.
I looked up Snow White on Rotten Tomatoes.
The
It was
original?
like
The
some
original?
years ago. The
The
original.
Okay.
The
Really?
1937 film.
Mm.
Animated
I
feature
love,
by Disney.
I love that movie. It was the first animated feature-length film. You know,
Yeah.
Disney's
It's a
first.
good movie.
It's
Yeah.
it's so good. I love that movie. And I remember
Classic.
looking up the rating because I wanted to see people's opinions. People's opinions on Snow White herself are already bad because at least before this all happened. So everybody's general idea, whoever you would talk to, people would either say, "Oh man, I totally forgot about that. I don't like that movie. It's too old, or it's not good, or whatever." And I can't explain why I love it so much. I mainly love it, like you said, for like the one thing. There's a lot of things about Snow White I love. I love the technicalities of it. I love how they made it. I love how they found out how to make this movie in 1937.
Yeah.
I love the
During the
voice
Great
actors.
Depression, too.
I love the characters so much. I love Snow White. She is a role model to be kind in a world that is unkind to you. And I love all the dwarves, and my heart just, I love it so much when they're singing in the
just
cabin.
so wholesome. It's a wholesome movie.
Yeah,
It's got everything.
But
It's got a love story.
I relate to it because I feel like
It's
our
got
family is
danger.
like that.
It's got a
too.
villain.
It's got a bad biatch
Oh
as
man,
a villain.
that villain, she's the best. Like the queen, she's so
It's got
over the
a-
top.
She's
a
so
heroine.
evil.
But the
who-
actress who plays her is owning it. She's like, I'm going all in.
Yeah.
I'm evil, and
that
she's
was
doing
a-
it like.
And that was in a
Shakespeare
period
style.
of time where you didn't really get voice performances that were like that outside of like maybe Looney Tunes, you know?
Yeah, like really crazy.
Yeah, but
Like,
you did have a whole generation of actors who were coming off of radio performances.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Never mind. You're right. Never mind.
But anyway, so when I looked
Good
it
point.
up, like
That's a really good
several
point,
years
Alan.
ago, when people were talking about like who their favorite Disney princess was, this was like back in like 2000, like 9 or 10,
Yeah.
and we were getting more into like.
So wait, what's
So the Rotten Tomatoes, I don't even remember the exact rating of the movie itself
I'm gonna look it up.
during that time.
Oh, okay.
I have
Oh,
the
okay.
actual rating now.
Oh, okay.
During that time, I remember it was like maybe in the 60s or below, depending on what you were looking at. Because people were like, either like, oh, I didn't remember it. And the people who did remember it were like, I mean, it's not my favorite. Like, it's no Little Mermaid or Aladdin, right? After this whole controversy, and it's really popular to hate now on the new talk of the live action one, look at the rating.
Is it 100%?
Oh, dang, that's
You were
close.
close, it's
Wait, how many?
97.
So it's
124 reviews,
97%
dang.
positive from critics with a certified fresh, and then it's 78% positive score from audience.
Isn't that insane? So it's popular to hate on the new one. So therefore, you go back and watch the original, and you're like, and now everybody's like, the best.
Well, this is what people do with games on Steam. If there's a release
Yeah.
that they don't like, they'll leave a negative review on the one that came out because, well, that's their opinion, or they like Overwatch 2 is a great example. It has terrible business practices, and so people don't like that, and so they go and review bomb it, and then they go
Yeah,
and
yeah.
upvote something else like TF2 or something. Say, hey, like,
Even if they
people
haven't
don't like
played
that
it, right? Even if they haven't played it, right?
Or like, say, for a great
It's
example is
popularity.
they'll Diablo 4. They'll go review another one and like it more that was good instead of the latest one. Because of whatever
Okay,
problems
an
they got.
example of one.
And review bombing is another thing that we didn't really get into, and I don't really think we should.
Just briefly,
Yeah,
it's
briefly.
you don't even have to watch the movie or play the
Yeah.
game to go and give it
Yeah.
a bad rating just so it can get a bad rating.
Yeah,
And that's pettiness.
yeah.
The book community suffers from that terribly.
Oh, it's so
on
bad.
Goodreads, especially in Amazon.
It's just a
Comic
it's a
book
thing
people
that's
too.
an issue in general on the internet. I'd
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
yeah. But there's lots of.
Okay.
Is there as much toxicity in the book community as there's the gaming community? Ad?
I feel like it's different,
not
but
as
it's pretty strong.
apparent. Like it's not.
I feel like in the book community, it's like SJW people.
Well, I'd say in the gaming
I feel
industry
like-
too. I mean, it's
Well,
affected a lot of
if
different
there
things.
is-
a lot of
if
media.
there is, you need to be looking for it, because if I'm going to a book review and I'm scrolling, and I go to look at the reviews, it just shows you the top most reviews or whatever, and it'll give you a positive, it'll give you a negative, and whatever, and kind of a
Gotta get
mid.
closer.
So, you have to kind of be looking for it, you know. And there's some cases like a recent controversy in the publishing world that blew up about that, where like people were keeping an eye on this particular book and this particular person and stuff. So that's when people started being like,
Yeah, it's
"Hey,
more
what
like
the
just
heck's going on?"
attacking people online.
Yeah, but I feel
Because
like
they wrote something.
I don't know if it's just because of the gaming community just kind of comes with that
Yeah.
like people think of toxicity, they think of male gamers, toxic male gamers. I don't know.
Or just toxic gamers.
But there
yeah.
are toxic readers out there.
Okay,
So
there are toxic
Yeah.
readers. Okay, good to know.
they exist.
Okay. One that this isn't my favorite movie ever.
So Snow White's one of those movies.
Snow White
Okay.
is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
I have rewatched Snow White, the original 1937 movie, so many times.
Okay.
Like I love it. Like I can start crying if I talk about it more. But
I mean, and you can watch it 2.5 times in 3 hours.
look at that.
There you go.
There you go. So this next one is not my favorite movie of all time, but it's one that I don't cower from this movie. I don't hate this movie. I enjoy it a lot. And it's funny because I've even like recommended this movie even though I knew people would not like it, just to see their reaction.
Oh my gosh. Is it Battle for Terra?
No.
Oh God, why?
It's
Say it into the camera.
Say it.
It's the
Say it.
2019 version of Cats the Musical, the movie.
Oh.
Oh man.
Speaking of subjectivity, I think we mentioned that earlier.
You mean
was it today
objectivity?
No, subjectivity. Because we had talked about nostalgia. And that's a reason why I also like the movies, because I grew up with the Broadway play.
Yeah, that's another
What's
thing
the rating? We didn't even mention the rating.
So the rating, so
Sorry.
so the critics meter is 19%.
God.
Rotten. That's 334 reviews.
Yeah.
The audience score is 53% bad with 5,000 plus reviews.
Wow.
That's not that much.
5,000. No,
That's not that much
compared to the critics.
Compared to
Compared
the
to-
critics
No. That's
score.
always the case. But we were just listing films that had 250 plus thousand reviews, 100,000.
Yeah, but
That
Jake,
shit's
a lot of those
50
movies have
or
been
10.
around for a longer time.
Yeah.
This has only been out since
I
2019.
guess.
There's
But
a lot of factors.
I'm
But
surprised
anyway,
people didn't go out of their way to like
so
give a
anyway,
negative
like
review.
the thing about this one, so I really don't know what it would be like if I didn't know anything about it and then went to see it.
Yeah, that's
God.
I have no idea because
Yeah.
I knew the lore of the story even before going to see this
the book
movie.
and the poems and
I knew that, but I also knew
It was a
the
book?
the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical has lore in it too.
Yeah.
If the first song it begins with in the musical is all the same actors, so they're all playing their. You have the old cat, you have the Ken Page cat, Old Deuteronomy and stuff, and you have the magical cat. You have all of them, but they look different in the beginning. And then the next song, they went off, changed their makeup, and came back, and they're all older. What's happening in the beginning of the musical is they're all younger.
So
Okay.
I didn't know
Yeah.
this
I didn't know that.
until last year
I didn't
when
thought
I
you
had
knew.
been playing it for our cat. And when I left the house. I'm serious.
It's so bad. It's so dumb. I came home and she put on cat.
I felt that
in
he's
the
a
room.
single child, so I felt really bad leaving him alone in the house. Anyway, I didn't do that. Fact, she told me, and I've seen the play musical as much as she had, and I didn't even know that. So like she told me that fact about like the opening about the Broadway play.
Yeah,
musical.
so there's
I was
like
oh, that's
lore
really
to the
cool.
original musical. It's not just based off a book. It came with its own story. So I knew even that. I knew even that really obscure stuff before going to see this movie. So I really do not know at all what it would be like just going in and seeing this movie. I mean, I probably would hate it, but I don't think I would hate the music.
I think I would be really weirded out. Like
I
I would
would
go to
too.
see this movie and I didn't know anything about it. I'd be like, "What am I
Yeah,
watching?"
I
This
mean,
is
I
one
think
of-
I would like the
is
music
kinda
still.
good.
I like the
but-
music.
Oh, I
But
love
we
the
went
music.
we went to go see it, and there were people in the theater with us who were going like, "What the f?" Like, but there were girls around us. There were people singing because we
There
were
were
kind of
people
doing
singing,
that
yeah.
too. There were people singing.
Yeah, we were singing a little bit
There
too.
was a girl behind me, and she was crying her eyes
She
out.
was sobbing.
She was so serious.
What song was
watching
it for?
So when Jennifer Hudson's song.
Oh wait.
Whenever Jennifer Hudson would sing,
Oh.
this girl behind us would
Memories.
start sobbing, and then it got to like the end of the movie, and like they're doing like the thing where like she goes off in the balloon.
The Ode to Cats.
No, it's before that. It's like they're watching her go off in the balloon,
Oh.
and it's like very triumphant or whatever. And she starts sobbing again, and
Aw.
she's crying. I'm just like, dude,
Dang,
what the
wow.
heck?
Well,
She just thought it was so bad
well,
that she had to
she
stay there.
probably, she probably,
Or she recently
obviously
lost
she knew what it
somebody.
was
Yeah.
before.
Or lost her cat or something. You know?
or lost
You
the
never know.
person. Maybe
Yeah,
she lost a
person.
family
Yeah.
member, and that was a symbolism for them passing
Yeah.
away.
I know I didn't lose anything when
You
I
never
almost
know.
got to
Everyone's
see this.
different.
I actually love a lot of parts in this movie. We watch it, and then I
Me
go,
too.
okay, rewind it to that
So
song.
you like you generally like this, right? You like this.
Unironically. we do
Unironically,
like
I
this
actually
movie.
like it a
Okay,
lot. I
alright.
love the McCavity song, the big number with the big lights and everything.
I will say the whole train sequence, the
Skimble
music,
Shanks.
Skimbleshanks.
amazing.
Because it gets you
So
kind of
well
like,
done.
it starts off slow and then you get more and more
Yeah,
exciting.
and it's
stuff.
exciting.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. They did such a good job with that.
Also, the guy who plays him is super cute.
He did a great job. He's
Everybody
good
did a
guy,
good
yeah.
job.
Taylor Swift sucked.
No.
Oh no! Wait, no.
No.
Take it back. That song was actually pretty alright.
It was
those
cool.
those two songs in
had big band in it.
consonants.
The villain,
Yeah.
for
Who
me,
played the villain?
Idris Elba, dude.
Oh, that's right.
He's
okay.
like, meow, and he disappears.
He was hamming it up in that role while
Oh,
Jennifer
wow.
Hudson was going 100, the completely opposite.
Yeah, she gave it her
spectrum.
all.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so did Judi Dench. She was taking it very seriously too.
She was kind of
Did
weird.
she?
I thought it was really weird that she was in this
100%,
movie.
But okay.
But yeah, that's an example of one that I will rewatch over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, unironically, I
I
like
get down
it.
with a good musical.
Yeah, good musical. Yeah.
Well, not just the musical.
Like I'd rather
I like
put
a
that
lot.
on than Disney's Into the Woods remake.
I hate
Agreed.
that movie.
I'd rather put Cats
Agreed.
on
We can
than
all
that.
agree on that.
Yeah.
Because even though it's probably a better movie, I guess I don't think so. I guess in general audience, but like the
Can you look up the score for
You
Into the
can't
Woods?
words right now.
score. What do you mean? Like
The tomato score.
oh, okay, yeah. And
Not the score like the music.
yeah, I'll look that up. Chelsea, what's your other one?
you have any
Is
other-
there any more? Any more?
Only other one I had. I mentioned the Mario movie to you earlier, Ed, because that's really polarizing between critics.
that's
We
and-
still-
did want to
really
mention that.
po-
No,
that's
no,
real
we
positive
wanted
though,
to
right?
mention the
Really?
critics' score is still rotten on the movie because
It is.
that's a prime example of why critics did not like, but audiences loved.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody
'cause
was
it's-
against
yeah.
the critic, but I think it was so interesting how that was so public
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
general audiences was like, no, we disagree
Yeah,
with
people-
critics.
Power of the youth, man.
The
That's
power
Yeah.
of people's voices were literally telling critics they were wrong.
What's
is
interesting
so
about
weird
that
to me.
too
Okay,
is
so-
that movie is speaking to
Chelsea.
multiple generations who
Yeah.
grew
Oh,
up with
absolutely.
a video game from people all
it's
over the
another
world,
nostalgia
from
thing.
every culture,
I haven't.
in
no.
every country.
Okay, so back to Into the Woods real quick. 71% positive critics, 225
Really?
reviews,
What?
49% negative audience.
Audience score.
Okay.
So before you go into more of what you were saying, what was the other film? I'm sorry.
So, well, there was that, but then you mentioned Dragonheart, and I was like, man, I
Yeah.
forgot. I used to watch that movie.
It's
I
great.
I
That's a
killed that
childhood
movie.
Yeah.
I watched the VHS
like
over
I have
and over and over again.
like I have no nostalgia like you do with that film, but I can objectively say.
But I was
that
like
film's
when I was watching
great.
it at the
It's a good
time,
film.
like now I look back and I watch it as a movie, like as someone who
Yeah.
loves movies and like how they're made again and like the technicalities, everything of it. I still love it for the characters and how seriously everybody takes it.
Yeah.
Also, it was my first introduction to David Thewlis.
Yeah.
I still have a crush.
I
on
love him. He's great.
I love David Thewlis.
It was her sexual awakening.
Shut up!
Jesus.
Don't you ever say
She
that.
was 8, Ad.
Don't you ever say that.
Okay.
I was
so-
fine.
Adelaide. Okay, Chelsea. Another one of the films you both probably would have picked
Yeah.
is Legends of Oz: Dorothy's Return.
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
yeah, we
Wait,
like that
The
movie.
Wizard
Yeah.
of Oz
I
I
animated
freaking
one.
love
The
that
animated
movie.
one. The animated one.
Alan,
Animated one.
it's the one with
Oh,
Yeah.
you said the Dorothy one, Legends of Oz, and I'm thinking the
live action.
No.
The live
This is the
action
cartoon
80s
one
one?
from 2014. It was kind of like one of those. For those who aren't aware, it's kind of one of those DVD like rip-off ones. And when you first
It
take
looks
a
like
look at it,
Yeah, it
sure
looks like a Walmart
it.
movie.
But
But then
it's
you actually
not a
watch it,
bad
and there a
film.
lot of care
It's
went
not
into it.
bad.
It is also a musical
And it's that's right. And it's 16% negative on Rotten Tomatoes
for critics.
For critics,
Really?
but 68% positive for
from
for
audiences.
people. So
Above
that's
average.
Above average. Yeah,
it's interesting.
I
Yeah.
think most people like it.
I
It's
mean,
unexpectedly
'cause you
because
guys really
I
like
think
that.
mainly like you go in thinking it's going to be bad. It's going to be a Walmart movie,
There
and then you're
is-
like, "Whoa, this is not a Walmart
there
movie."
is
I
some
love this."
behind the scenes controversy on the critic side, though. So, like from the industry side of
Oh, really?
that could have affected the critic score because there was a
For
lot
that
of
movie?
yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of
Really?
shady stuff going on with the
Yeah,
ad
it's super
campaigns
weird.
and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah, it's
Another
I
one
like that
where
movie a lot.
actors gave like their all for that movie, and
Yeah.
I'm talking about
Oh,
Martin
yeah.
Short.
Oh yeah, Martin Short.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
Martin Short, baby. He should be the only reason. If anything, go see it for him.
From what I remember seeing of that film, he always gives.
He's a good
He always
villain.
gives up a good performance.
He's a good villain.
I
Another
do
one-
cry at that one song every time I watch it.
Mm.
Even then.
And it was all original
Yeah.
music, right?
Oh man,
Yep.
we like went head over heels for like the
I
romantic
can't
tension in
watch.
that movie.
Well,
Because it's a robot.
No,
it
the
was a
marshmallow
marshmallow.
man.
It was a marshmallow.
And he fell in love with a tiny China doll.
That's really cute.
And
the,
he's soft so he could protect her.
yeah, it's not
What?
just that.
He's a protector, he's a
he's
soldier.
soft,
Oh,
so
he's a
she won't break.
okay.
Yeah, and
Oh,
there's a
okay.
whole thing in the movie about her breaking, being easy to
yeah.
break. Yeah.
Okay, that's cute. Another one would be Astro Boy
Oh, I love that movie.
from 2009 with
I
Freddie.
love that
What?
movie.
What's the good doctor? What's his name?
Dr.
Freddie.
Elephant.
No, Freddie, the guy who
Freddie
plays
Highmore?
him. Freddie Highmore, yeah. That guy.
Yeah, he's Astro Boy.
He's Astro Boy. And it's such a good kids film. I just enjoy it so much.
It's so weird because that is not faithful. It's faithful
No, it's not.
only in
No.
the kind of in the it's faithful in the beginning to the source material.
Yeah.
That's it though. Like after that, they kind of make their own movie.
Yeah, they kind of make their own film.
and it came out of nowhere. And but because I love Astro Boy, I love the
kinda
original anime.
I kind of like the
and
American
everything.
take on it, to be quite frank. Like, and it's by the way, the tomato meter and audience is both half in the middle. at
Really?
50%.
Negative though, half negative.
Well, guys, when we're talking about 50%, that's 50%
halfway
like
bad.
it. And when it says that, that means it's gotten to the criteria where majority of people either don't like it or it's not recommended by Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
I think Rotten Tomatoes says
So
like
50%,
at least
51% like it,
this is at
50%,
least 5 reviews.
49% don't.
It's swayed by a 5
Oh, wait,
review
I see what you're saying.
order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Because it would be
So
positive.
if over
It's more
5
bad than
people say it's negative on either
But
side,
here's...
it's negative.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
I love that movie. There's a lot of moments in it that you could have easily taken out to make it a better movie.
Yeah.
But I just love that movie so much.
It's enjoyable. and
It
it's so
has the
innocent.
same
It's so
emotional
innocent and
resonance
just
as the
adorable.
original story of Astro Boy. Like Dr. Tenma, like literally
Oh, yeah.
his son
That whole
dies.
thing
He
is
makes a
heartbreaking.
doll to replace his son, and he treats it like his real son because he can't cope with it. The fact that he lost his boy and stuff. And in this movie, it's worse because it's because of him. In the original story, his son gets hit by a car and dies. And so he just makes a new kid. But in this, it's
He just makes a new kid.
How did he die in this movie?
they
got
were
vaporized.
experimenting
He got
with a big
vaporized.
robot.
Oh, he got
and the kid got caught in
incinerated.
there.
Incinerated, yeah.
I think it's worse. I
Except
think that's
for
more
his hat.
violent.
For
Yeah,
His
some
hat was
reason.
the only thing that survived.
and it's way softer though in this movie. The way
Yeah.
Tenma deals with it, like
It's
it
still
has
a really
the same,
heavy
that same
subject, though.
connotation, right? And then of course you follow Astro and his fun little adventures. But in this, he returns to his dad in the end, and I feel like that was more important to me. Because there was kind of a frustration in the
Great
original.
message.
There was a frustration like the original show, and like the manga is just wacky superhero adventures. But there's a frustration in the original show that's like, we never see the dad again. We never see Tenma again.
Well,
And so it's like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
I also
and
think
so you're
that-
like, when's he gonna find him again? And he doesn't.
I think
And in this
Astro
movie, they try to have
Boy-
more of like a completion to it.
it's a great example of bringing over something from like Eastern culture, translating it to Western culture.
It was very westernized.
But in that Westernization, it brought really good Western values, I would say, and more good moral values. I mean, I'm not saying Japanese stuff doesn't have that. There's plenty of Japanese media
Yeah.
that has that in it.
yeah.
But I'm saying it really did a better job of kind of translating it and also honoring it too in the designs and the world it created.
Another movie that's a good
It's a good one.
example of like westernizing a foreign topic would be 47 Ronin. We really like
I
that
wanna look
movie
that
a
one up.
lot.
I do like that movie.
I
a
love
lot.
that movie actually.
But
We're in Japan and like everybody's speaking English.
You're talking
So-
about the remake. Yikes.
Oh my god.
The
Well,
Keanu
what is
Reeves
it? Tell
remake.
me. Tell me what is
You
it?
go ahead.
16% rotten from critics and then 48% negative audience score.
I love this movie.
But that's
it's kind of a creature feature.
So
too,
that's a
so.
situation. Well, you said creature feature. That's a situation where I went into it thinking, okay, I'm gonna see just this period piece with some light fantasy, and that's what I got, and so I liked it.
I like it.
It's just funny because you're like,
It's not an
they're all
amazing
I went
film,
into Maleficent
but I like
English.
it.
expecting
Not bad.
a family-oriented dark fantasy, and that's what I got. So that's why I like that
Family
movie.
oriented.
You didn't hear me
You said family oriented.
for Maleficent.
Oh, I thought you said 47.
So when I go in,
We're like,
the same idea going into a 47.
hitting me. It's
You're not
elder
listening.
abuse.
You're not listening.
Child abuse on the podcast. Stop it.
Why? Because I have 9 years on you.
Yes. Another one is Snow White and the Huntsman. Ooh, I like that movie.
I love that first movie.
so much.
I love the first one.
Like Chris Hemsworth's
Again,
great. Charlize
I went
Theron
in wanting a
rocks.
dark fantasy, and I got
And
a dark
Kristen
fantasy.
Stewart.
It's funny
good.
because I got everything I wanted from
Such
the
a good
trailer.
movie.
And like, yeah, I don't know.
And it's
Second
it's
one,
also
My
my
one
expectations
that's,
from the
enjoy as
trailer were
much.
met.
it's another one that's on tomato meter. It's like split in half. both
Really?
ways, both
Okay.
ways.
Yeah, I feel like when I
49%
talk to people, they like
rotten
it.
from critics, and then a 52% negative audience. score.
What's the score on Pacific Rim?
It's generally positive. but
It's
I can
like,
type it
oh,
up.
okay.
So if-
It was pretty torn when it first came out.
Rim with 2 eyes.
Guillermo.
72% critics.
Wow.
And
Okay.
77% audience. So most
Wow,
people
that's
liked
really high.
Yeah.
I feel like when it first came out, I feel like it was split.
it. Your Age of Extinction's down here.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is.
I
Okay.
really I want to take another look at that film because I keep the
Age of Extinction?
the clip of what's his face getting killed.
Lockdown?
No. What's the actor? The comedian guy.
Oh, TJ Miller.
TJ Miller.
Miller.
The clip of him just dying
That
in
was
that
pretty
one
violent.
scene, like, is just going viral
That's
right
a
now on
bad
Twitter the
way to
last
go.
couple
Really?
days. Yeah, the last couple days has been going viral. Like,
That's
man,
weird.
look, Michael Bay hated TJ Miller so much. He just
That's
made
so
it. He just
random.
murked him
I
so
think that was
bad.
before his
And then
allegations.
they had a Ferrari transform and drive away. He was like, I can't believe it.
That was before his allegations
Oh.
came to light.
Yeah.
As a Transformers fan, there's just things in that movie that are amazing that they were able to do and that they
In
changed.
terms of
that
lore and stuff. Is what
yeah,
you're
just
saying?
things they did with
Okay, yeah.
different characters they brought in, how they handled certain things like the Dinobots, what the heck's Knights of Cybertron are, and then that led into the 5th movie. I just really love Age of Extinction a lot.
I remember walking out of that film and going to you, Chelsea, and being like,
Age of
wasn't that
Extinction?
great? That was the best one they
Oh,
did.
yeah,
You're like,
that was another
no,
one.
that was the worst movie they've done so
Chelsea
far.
was a social justice warrior that day.
What year was this? 2014?
Yeah,
That's so
the
funny.
Samurai over Transformer.
But I can
I
counteract
was
you
so
with my
ahead.
Transformers lore on that.
I don't care.
I don't care. I like
It doesn't, it's still bad.
There's
good.
definitely entertainment to
That
be
was another one
had.
where as I'm watching
in
it, I was like, this
Transformers.
is so bad.
There's just a lot of things that some of them suffer more than others. Like Revenge of the Fallen suffered because there's a writer's strike going on, and I get that. That's why it's bad, I would say.
In my opinion, on the second movie, actually
Like I
changed
love
over
the first
years,
one.
so.
And I love Dark of the Moon. I think they're both.
Oh, I love
fine.
Dark of the Moon.
I
Dark
love
of
the
the
first
Moon's
one.
pretty good.
First one's still my favorite. Like I still like
Dark
the
of the
first one
Moon
a lot.
needed a proper ending.
And that
though.
might have to do with nostalgia, but I still put the cube into my chest, Sam. Put the
cube in my chest,
I'm in the bathroom.
See,
put the cube into my chest, Sam.
See, that's what I don't want more of in a Transformers
Put the
movie.
cube in my chest, Sam.
Well, we should probably wrap it up because Chelsea has to go to bed.
Yeah, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta get
gotta
out
get
of
Oh,
here.
one more movie though.
Oh yeah,
So one more
one
that
more.
you know, there's very few times where I go to see a movie and I'm saying through the whole movie, this is bad.
Like
This
Age
is
of
bad.
Extinction.
So
Look at you.
no, it was Jurassic World.
the
first
first
one.
one. Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not a fan either.
Okay, after like the next few, which I don't even hardly
The second
remember,
one
the first one was
sucks
better
so
than the rest of the
bad.
other two. But like that was one where like at the end,
Oh, look it up.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm doing like the biggest face palm ever because I was like, I can't believe people think this is good. This is the
Let's
cheesiest,
see
most
the
fan
rating.
servicey thing I've ever
It's
seen.
mostly positive.
Are you
overall
71% critics,
serious?
78% audience.
They're
Are you
both positive.
serious right
Now
now?
wait till we get to the next one because next one, in my opinion,
71%
sucks balls.
fresh on Jurassic World, number 1.
Number
Wait till
one.
you get to the next one. The next one sucks so bad. I hated that one.
46%
46%
rotten.
tomato.
Oh, it deserves it.
48% negative audience score.
It deserves
It
it.
deserves it. So it's such a bad.
You know
I
why?
don't remember
You know why?
anything in that one.
You know why?
Why?
You know why?
Why?
Because they had to watch that Brontosaurus die. It just took everybody
And the
back to
music is like,
the land before, or what's that called?
yeah,
Land Before Time.
What's the third one? Because I didn't watch.
Talk about personal biases.
didn't watch
Everybody
Dominion.
had a flashback and they went, I hate this movie.
The third
I
one.
didn't watch Dominion, the third one at all. It's got
I did.
29% negative critics, 77%.
I felt
also,
the same
again,
audience.
didn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same.
Interesting.
about
And
it.
now they have the fourth one
Coming
coming out soon, 2 years, I guess, from now.
Yeah.
And they have, what's his face? From the creator.
Wait,
Gareth
what?
Edwards?
Gareth Edwards is doing it.
Yeah.
Which
Oh.
I think he could pull it off.
Yeah, I
He's
think he
proven
could,
himself
maybe.
way more.
It's going to make money.
Yeah.
So he's going to get money.
Yeah,
for it.
I would. So
did
like when the
Godzilla.
Jurassic World came
he
out,
could
I
do
was
a
like
monster movie.
searching for people who have shared the same opinion as me because no matter where I looked, everybody loved it.
Speaking of
And
that,
then-
let's look
and-
up the creator.
Oh
'Cause
yeah, what about the creator?
I liked that a lot.
I love the
That's a
creator.
good movie.
It's kind of like mostly positive, 67% critics, 76%
it's overall positive.
audience.
On
Okay,
both
it's
sides.
generally
Yeah.
positive. Yeah.
And I was listening to
It just didn't. Oh no, it was a financial success because it only cost $100 million to make.
Yeah, that was.
Well,
Or no, it cost less than that.
Let me look at that.
It
Let me
cost
look
less
at
It
than
only
that.
cost like $80 million or something.
the creator box office mojo.
because everybody was talking about that when it came out.
Yeah.
on how it was so cheap to make, and yet it looks so good.
Yeah, it looks so good.
It looks just like 100.
Ooh, no, it was not a box office success. The budget was $100 million. That's what they made worldwide.
Oh, no.
Like, here's the worldwide. That's all of the total run.
Yeah.
The budget was, where's the budget?
Go down.
They didn't break even at all.
Oh, no, wait.
They should have the budget in here. Where is
You have
it?
to make back twice as much of what it
I'm trying
costs
to
to break
look.
even.
What's the budget then?
All right, let me.
So it made
Usually it says it here.
104 million worldwide.
I think it was 90.
That's
think it was 90. But that's not a success because you also have to
Bummer.
factor in the money for marketing. And
Yeah.
also, that's the total money it made. That doesn't count the money they have to give theaters. Their
Yeah,
cut.
so that's why they say
All right,
a
all right.
movie has to make twice as much to break even.
What
That's
was
why
it?
they say
What was I
that.
looking up? The box creator budget.
Budget.
The second one's budget Reddit. 80 million.
Oh.
That's still not a success.
It still looks great for an $80
kind of
million
cut
movie.
even, but they probably lost money in the red.
And it has
overall.
overall positive reception from both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Creator
So.
a lot. Just give me more robots, man. We need more of that.
Yep.
Give me robots.
I'm sure iRobot's another one. We can keep going on this.
Oh,
but-
yeah, we can go on
Okay, you know
forever.
what I say? Like, I love monster movies and I don't care as long as it's a good monster flick. Well, I'm not
Yeah.
excited for the new King Kong versus Godzilla.
I mean, me neither. Did you watch the last one?
Yeah, I loved
It was
it.
fun. Yeah.
I loved it.
And then you've seen this and you're like,
We rewatched
same
that
thing.
end fight between Kong and Godzilla so many times. Not because of Sam I Am, but
Did
because
you-
Sam I Am was my excuse to
You
rewatch
went to go
it.
see Godzilla -1, right?
Yeah, I was with you, dude.
Oh, duh. Never mind.
We did it together.
We did together. Is there
I
any-
wanted Mom to watch it, but I don't know if she'll like it.
Yeah. Is there okay,
Had some personal
before
stuff.
we go, is there any final words, thoughts on this topic?
On
Before we leave?
subjectivity versus
Objectivity.
me versus world.
Yeah.
Me versus the world.
What do you got?
Like I said, there's no answer to why do I feel differently compared to all these other people. I'm sure Chelsea feels the same way. She's like, why do I feel so differently? And like everybody else loves this movie
Yeah.
around me. Humans are very complicated creatures. We are.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
You know?
I agree with you. Yeah.
Not all critics are the same. All critics have different subjective opinions as well. Just because we see a critic score on there doesn't mean they all agreed on something.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's right either.
Yeah, just try to be better about.
Try to be better.
No, that's not what I said. You're not
Do
saying
better.
it.
Try
I'm sorry.
harder.
Be better.
That's not what I meant.
Don't be.
I said
be
when people
sorry,
are
be
telling you
better.
their opinion, try to have an open mind and
Yeah.
try to have
Yeah.
more of an open mind when you go to see movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what I always do for that aspect, what I always do is as the intro like credits are starting, like with the Universal logo or the production companies logos are popping up. Usually I'm like going through my mind. I'm like, oh, okay, what are my expectations for this film? Okay, it's
You're like,
probably
oh, that
this.
company?
I'm
Oh,
not,
it's
no, I'm
probably
like,
not
no,
gonna
I'm
be
like just in my mind going through what are my expectations for this film? Well, I'm expecting it to be like John Wick 4. I went into that and I'm like, I hope it's just as good, hopefully better than 3. Like I'm not expecting a masterpiece. It might
It's
be
yeah, it's
worse.
the
It
fourth
might
in
be
a
worse than the
franchise,
third
so.
or the second one. I don't know. And then I sit there and I'm like, this is the best John Wick film of them all.
Really?
It's so good. So that's what I would recommend. But Chelsea, what final thoughts do you have?
I don't know. Other than-
Everybody sucks.
What? What's
Everybody sucks.
Everybody sucks.
No, I'm joking.
Just the fact that do you get mad? Adam?
No,
Do you get mad? I get mad.
she gets very.
Everybody
mad.
gets
You're
mad.
very passionate about your opinion.
I get really mad about when I have my opinion on a movie.
It is what it is.
is
That's
what
my
it
motto.
is.
Que sera, sera.
It be what it be.
What's your
Yeah,
final?
other than
yeah, what-
I just realized that I get mad and you don't about stuff. That's the only thing I think.
You know, I was thinking of that when we brought up Maleficent a couple days ago, and you were going off on it. And I'm like,
Yeah,
it's
and
just
then you
a
stopped me.
movie,
When Chelsea-
bro.
when-
You
and we
stopped
all
me and you were
just-
like, oh, you
we all
can't
do this,
that.
but when
You
Chelsea
can't do
gets
that on
going,
podcast.
I'm like, if I say anything right now, she's gonna smack me.
I'll take your silence as agreeing with me.
Yes, silence is consent. Did you hear? Well, I think in terms of like what I would say going out of this topic is, I would generally just say that to remember that you are as a person and what you are, you have your own taste. I think we kind of touched this a little bit on the episode we did before this, which was about AI and spirituality, about trying to find out who you are and who you are in yourself, like what your tastes are, how you work, what works for your body, what doesn't, what works for you and what doesn't, and to kind of just learn who you are and what your identity is. And also remember, but I would also add who your identity is in Christ. That's kind of what we talked about. But if you aren't kind of all with that, then just, like Adelaide said, have an open mind, but also remember that don't let the world put you in a box, and don't let people affect your opinion. I always advocate for this. Like we're in a world of huge influencers and information to the extent where like we have to be part of the status quo, or we hear things and we have to agree with it. I would say form your own opinion. Don't be so influenced by everybody around you.
It's okay to disagree with
It's okay to not like something or like something. Like if you loved Van Helsing
cats,
then sure.
I love Van Helsing too.
Go for it and like it. Or if you hated a Van Helsing with a passion, and then fine, that's cool too, or whatever. But just remember to don't let others limit you of what your tastes are or what you could potentially like, because you might find your favorite movie out of something that you are motioned to not watch or not consume.
Yeah. So don't be swayed, by what other people say.
Yeah, in order to just enjoy life to its fullest, don't care about so much about what everybody else thinks about something. If you like it, you like it. It's okay to live on a paradise island by yourself.
And don't worry about what other people say, I would say so much. I mean, there's definitely a good, I know. I agree with you. There's definitely a sense of like self-awareness I believe people should have in general, but also just be aware that like you can like what you like. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you want to watch Cocomelon, you can as an adult, unironically, if you want. But also maybe listen to some adults that watch Bluey and go hit that up as well.
You stick with your Cocomelon. I'm going to watch Bluey over here.
And with that, we want to thank you all for listening and taking your most valuable time. There's so many things out there. Like we say in this podcast, there's so many things out there on the internet that you could consume or watch or listen. And we just are really appreciative of that you took the time to listen to us. So we're definitely going to get these two back in here with talk about movies, music, film, whatever. And it's going to be a fun time. And we appreciate you taking time to listen to us. So anyway, have a wonderful day, and we will see you later.
Bye.